he looks like. He doesn't hide his picture. But Malone travels the world. He's in Indonesia, Polynesia.
I said in America I'm an 8.
Oh, you gotta refresh your screen, Mindful. You gotta refresh your screen to see him.
All right, ladies. From 1 to 10, what score would you give E. Cooter on looks? He says he's a 10. L, Hope.
He looks like Mark Wahlberg, Jay. Like a young Mark Wahlberg.
Hope gives you a 7. All right, 7's not bad. Kelly, what do you think? Oh, Mia said a generous.
I don't do this. I'm not getting in the middle of it.
Kelly's above this nonsense. I respect you for that, Kelly.
I think L likes me.
The next thing one of you is going to ask me to give a number to a woman and
Well, I mean, I only brought it up because he was mentioning 3, so I'm trying to get a sense of if he was like a 5, if 3 is too low, but I mean, if he's a 10.
I wasn't talking physically. I mean, I think a man is evaluated on a bunch of different metrics. I think I fall pretty high on the scale. If you in a global population scale, it's not just my physicality.
Do you go to other countries and pretend that you're American so you can get laid?
I don't pretend.
Wait, so you were giving yourself a 10 on a global scale, not looks. No. So why were you talking about women in high school who were goth being 3s and 2s and 4s?
I'm sorry if you had a hard time following. Maybe I did a poor job articulating myself. I apologize.
No, it kind of got off track once we started talking about the looks and stuff. You were talking essentially about a social engineering kind of dynamic that takes place within different groups of people. You were just highlighting the Gothic community in high school and what you noticed. However, you also brought up the women and stuff like that. So you want to get back on track.
If I value, I didn't mean to, sound overconfident or whatever, but it's also for my age. I am doing well for my age.
Bro, we're happy with your confidence, bro. You should be confident in yourself. It's all right.
100%.
Don't start questioning it now.
Yo, Malone, listen, stand on your square, bro. If you think you're a 10, go for it. How old are you? I'm going to guess from that picture.
Exactly.
Let's see. I'm going to say you're probably in your early 30s.
This photo's maybe 4 years old. I just happen to have it on.
I knew it!
But I am 10 years older than you.
So you're in your 40s. All right. So
to be fair, Malone, if somebody asks you to post a photo of yourself, bro, that's something men do a lot. Why do men put up a photo of themselves years ago? Never come. I know women do it too.
Hold on. Let me just keep it real. Because like I said, I started dating again. And I go on these profiles. I met this one chick and there's no bullshit. Her pictures had to be about 15 years old when I met her. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? So, I think women mind more about their looks than men do.
Oh, JV, no. I'm also back in the dating world and on these apps. And men, not only do they lie about their age and make themselves 10 years younger, the photos they put of themselves are like 15 years ago. Just saying.
Well, wait. Hold on. Let me ask Hope a question. Hope. I see in a lot of these profiles, right? Women write, if you voted for Trump, don't match with me. If you have the fish picture, don't match with me. If you have a shirtless picture, don't match with me. Why do any of those matter?
Oh, the fish thing.
I don't know about the fish thing. I don't put anything like that on my profile. What I put is I need someone who wants to travel because that's what I like to do. Voting for Trump, well, I mean, if you're completely against Trump, then I can understand why they wouldn't want to date someone who voted for Trump. Although I don't understand why they would put it on their profile because you never know. You may meet someone, there may be so much chemistry that that won't matter. So I don't know.
But see, Hope, you have to understand though. You know, Hope is actually a decent looking woman. Okay, why don't these women put the fact that they're a big back, you know, on their profile? Like just put in big bold letters, big back. I mean, I'm talking about the women that Photoshop their face and they're only, you know, taking pictures from the neck up. So I mean, at the end of the day, nobody wants to have that conversation about these women that are going to be stressing out these men's floorboards. Okay, with their big, wide back and their heaviness. Okay, nobody wants to put that in their PTRs, or nobody wants to put. Listen, y'all want to talk about people catfishing on Tinder? There's people catfishing on this app. Have you seen Miki and what she really looks like? Okay, so at the end of the day.
Hold on. So my thing is, people absolutely use take pictures on this app. That's definitely me. That's 2 days ago. I've seen Kelly. She's a beautiful woman. He's a beautiful woman. I believe the pictures I've seen of them are real. Hope's a beautiful woman.
Damn, bro, tell me I'm beautiful too, man.
Man, you're just all sexy, man. But I'm saying this, and I say that respectfully as a heterosexual man. You gotta say that nowadays. But the thing I don't understand, and I'm keeping it 100 right now, is why women use filters on these dating apps, and you're gonna meet them, you're like, damn, you look nothing like your picture.
So y'all don't remember?
All you have to say is no Diddy. All you have to say is no.
Y'all don't remember the phone chat lines?
Of course I do. I used to hack them.
That's what this is. That's what this is.
Exactly. That's squeaky. That's listen. When y'all talked about making these apps, I'm like, man, this ain't nothing but a phone chat with a screen, bro. Like dial 9 and go to this room and dial 7. I don't think it's changed, right? Why do people put younger photos? Clearly, I mean, they don't look as good, right? Skin ain't as tight in certain places anymore, right? So people do that, but I'd be so upset. I'm sorry, I couldn't imagine having to go on a date and hold my breath to hope that motherfucker looked the way they did. Like, dude, thank God for Zoom and phone call cameras and Facebook and all that. Because I'd be on it like right away.
Well, let me say this. I had a date this past weekend. And she was even more beautiful in person than her pictures, which really surprised me. I mean, she was really cute in her pictures, but in person, I was like, God damn, she's beautiful. And she was humble, she was nice, and all that other stuff. But these filters that these women use, it's crazy. You're going to meet me, be honest with me from the beginning. See, other than me and Hope, I mean, who have admitted, sadly, that one is dating apps, Kelly's happily married, PB's happily married. So they don't understand the jungles we have to go through, Hopi, just to meet somebody normal.
Oh, totally. It's really, really horrible, and it's like I don't have the energy for it anymore. A couple of weeks ago, I had matched with someone, and I went to go meet him, and he said he was 55. He showed up, and he looked like he could be my father. By the stuff that he said to me about himself, I kind of like Googled and tried to figure out his information, and he was 67.
You need to work on your brain.
So, I mean, and I'm shocked that guy's live.
Yeah, but that's not interested. Right? Just like it says in the chat, y'all should definitely be using video chat. Like, anyone who's avoiding a video chat, like, in the very beginning of I guess you guys trying to get to know each other, dude. Like, I won't even meet people in business without trying to catch a picture of them first.
Why don't you just go out and meet people in public? Like, the video chat is not going to save you. Like, I'm telling you, some of the y'all be getting catfished by some of these freaking big backs on this app. And some of them are trans women. They be getting vocal cords cut nowadays. And y'all sitting up in there.
Jordan, Jordan.
Yeah, I put my full name. When I'm on dating apps, I put my full name so people can look me up and verify stuff. I mean, I don't encourage women to do that because that could possibly be dangerous, but I don't mind. Like, I put it all out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, to piggyback off what Weedman was saying, me personally, just JB, I'm not hooking up with any chick from this app. I've seen too much shit, too much doxing, too much crazy. To me, it's just not working. I mean, I've met women from this app in a group environment, right? But I'm not saying, hey, Joanne from Flatbush, let's go have coffee. Fuck that. A lot of these chicks on this app are out of their minds.
I think a lot of people on this app are out of their minds, to be fair.
So, Malone, do you use dating apps or you just pay for sex? Malone?
I've never paid for that. No. Well, I paid in other ways. I mean, if I take a girl out, I pay for everything.
Wait. So what dating apps have you used, Malone? That you've been most successful?
I'm successful on all of them.
And this dude does not lack in confidence.
What did you say, Kelly?
I said Delta.
No, I mean, in fairness, look, white girls aren't into me. They're just not into me.
He's flying to China all the time.
See, that's your problem. That's your problem, Agent. What you need to do is you need to start you need to start dating black women and let them pay you.
Ooh, nice. Does that work?
Yes.
I hear they're the most demanding.
Yo, tell us what you hear about black women. I gotta know what you're hearing.
That's what I heard.
Wait,
My buddy's like emptied.
Have you ever dated a black woman or slept with a black woman?
I haven't, but one of my buddies just started dating a black woman. She's like she's daughter of an NFL star or something. He has like emptied his bank account just trying to meet her like very basic standards. It's really sad.
Don't let him lie to you, bro. That's just because the coochie's so good. He keeps spending money. He's telling you she's making him do it, but he's just doing it.
Malone, you need to find yourself a nice Jewish woman and settle down.
Wait, so Malone, why don't you think white women are into you?
I just think it's a phenotype thing. I think I'm a nerd. I'm weirdo, and I'm not a mesomorph.
What's a mesomorph? What's a mesomorph?
Like, I'm not like overly muscular.
I think you just need to make more money because I see plenty of white women, some corny white dudes looking and sounding like that all around California. I think you just maybe need to make some more.
Okay, I just started dating this really hot Russian girl, so maybe I shouldn't say all white, but I don't really.
Bro, let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you this right now. A Russian chick is gonna clean out your bank account. That's a fact.
Yeah. Right now is like the nice phase. We'll see what happens. I'm leaving town next week.
Wait till she asks for that Burberry bag.
She's not too
He's just gonna get busted like selling ecstasy somewhere, and like we're all gonna know why.
The good thing is
so funny.
Yeah, go ahead. It's like this girl's just really pretty, and she's not overly. She doesn't have like the bee sting lips. She doesn't, she hasn't done work or whatever.
Let me ask
she's
you,
more down to earth than most.
Great. Let me ask you. Do you think that you're shallow?
No, I don't think I wouldn't. I don't think of myself that way, but other people would project that from what I've just said. I might come off.
Nah, bro, I'm gonna stand with you, bro. You know what you want. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We listen to women talk about this shit all goddamn day. We're gonna have an Andrew Tate moment, bro. Good for you.
I appreciate it.
Good for you.
I'm not into all.
No, the fuck we're not. Andrew Tate is a homosexual. Andrew Tate, he got let go. They let him go.
Wait, hold on a second.
I just want a healthy woman.
Well, there's plenty of them. But I want to ask the women in the room, Kelly, Hope, LC, right? Is this just locker room talk we're having right now, or is this toxic masculinity like society likes to say?
This isn't real life.
Oh, Malone is telling us about his real.
This is Malone's real life.
I actually don't know people in real life that actually talk like
this. See, this is why white women don't date.
Bunch of incel men. Sorry, I mean.
Wait, Al, are you dating?
If it was only like white American women, I would just be an incel. I was for years.
Yeah, well, you do what you gotta do, big.
Well, you're telling me you don't want to find a nice male queen like Monica?
Hell no.
Oh, let me ask you a question.
No, I asked the questions.
Okay, well, let me make a statement.
Okay.
then you can disagree with it.
No.
Okay, then you'll just disagree with it, right? So,
You
listen,
all
anyways,
talk amongst
the man speaking about his confidence. He was just speaking about his confidence. So
You realize I just got here, right?
yeah, I'm just telling you, he was speaking about his confidence. So I was just trying to figure out if that was real or not. If you felt like that way about Malone, or if you know more about him than I do, because you may know more about him than I do.
I've been knowing him for a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly why I asked the question.
Wait, so Al, you were saying this is nonsense. This
I
isn't
thought
real life.
I was the one asking the questions.
No, come on. We can have a conversation. Can I just ask you, are you dating?
I need another cup of coffee before you ask questions.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Honey, I'm probably the oldest one in the room. I have 3 grown children and a grandchild, so this is probably a conversation for the rest.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, JB has been really opening my eyes when he's telling me about how the dating market is these days. I think you'd be surprised at how wild it goes.
I'm not surprised. I have 3 adult children, and I'm not surprised. They tell me all the time about the bullshit that goes on. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by any of it, but I do think on Clubhouse it's a little concentrated. We hear the worst of the worst, and often, and let's be honest, people exaggerate, maybe make up some shit. So I don't really put a whole lot of stock into it, I guess is.
Clubhouse has some miserable, desperate people. I will say that.
Yeah.
We were just
And that's no shade to anybody in the room. I'm talking more generally speaking. Like, we all have struggles. Dating is hard. But I think in the end it's still worth it. I think maybe it's where we're looking. I think if you're swiping left or right, expecting to find the love of your life, you're probably not looking in the right spot. It's just my...
I mean, people who aren't overweight, hairy, and bald-headed don't have that problem. And, you have that issue on Clubhouse. And I'm not just talking about the men. There's some women who are overly hairy, overweight, and bald-headed on this app.
If they're women, right?
Adams, I love you. Well, men have a lot to deal with these days. Is it a woman? Is it not a woman? And yes, I went there. Women openly proclaiming. I was in a room just the other day, and this girl, I want a sugar daddy. I don't want to have to do shit. I don't want to have to work. I want this. I want that. I heard very little. In fact, I heard nothing of what this woman was offering. So I do feel for you men. I'm not without sympathy.
There's always been a sector of women like that, though. Now I think it's more vocal. It's obviously there's more avenues in which the crazies can come and have a level of separation to their real identity and speak crazy, and share how they feel.
Yeah.
That's what this provides, that kind of safe space. I always think about it. It's like, who's that person that's not supposed to be conversating and then is left home alone and they got the phone and they're on Clubhouse?
It's crazy. Ellie, you have a very good point. I hear rooms on this app with women voicing their grievances about how much men are earning, but they're not opening up rooms talking about how good their cooking is. You know what I mean? And it just begs the question, and I ask women this all the time on this app, does your weight reflect the quality of man that you're seeking?
You know what, though? I'm laughing, but let's be honest here. Yes. Probably people need to get honest with themselves about what they deserve. I do hear some people like, I want this, I want that. And I'm like, I'm looking and I'm like, is that what you're offering? Because I think I know why you're saying.
And you said it right there. It's like, I'm looking, but what are you offering, right? Because technically, essentially, I feel like when you're offering, you're going to find what you're looking for, right? So if you change the perspective a little bit, right, the angle of your attack, it may work out better. So I agree.
Am I way off base? I think we're headed in a direction where men actually, they've been told their masculinity is toxic for what, are we going on 2 decades now? But for sure the last decade. You've been told your masculinity is toxic. Who you are at your core is toxic. And women are becoming more masculine. I'm just going to say it, okay? And are you finding that because nature is nature, these things are not lining up? And it's okay. I think we're heading to a place where a tipping point where men can now say and should feel free to say, yeah, I maybe want a woman who has a little more feminine qualities. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a hot meal when I got home. My grandmother told me, my grandmother, not my mom, my mom actually did these things, but my grandmother said, men are simple. They only want a few things. And of course, she was a sweet grandmother, and she said them as politely as she could, but she wasn't wrong. And we've just overcomplicated this thing. And now we want men to be all in their feelings, and we expect them to bring home all the money, and blah, 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 blah. But we aren't offering what it is that men actually want. And I'm not saying, when I say this, I'm not saying all men, but we have overcomplicated.
Let me ask you a question. Hold on, Malone, hold on a second. So I agree with everything you just said, and I've said it before, and I get yelled at about it, but that's fine. This is how I feel. The pussification of men throughout the world, not just America, is very real. But the question I have for you is, and I agree with you, women have become comfortable being masculine. Do you think women like that know how to be feminine anymore because of the way society has gone?
Well, I mean, at your core, there are personality types, right? Like, I'm not discounting that there are amongst men and even amongst women personality types where you're, I run 2 businesses. I'm an oldest child. Can be bossy. But with my man, I don't want to be those things. In fact, if a man is being a man and he's okay with his masculinity, that works best because I can come home at the end of the day. I can, be who I am. I don't have to be in charge. I don't have to call all the shots. It's refreshing. It's actually refreshing. And that is not a sign of weakness. That is a sign of just, I have to be boss bitch all day. I don't want to be that at home.
Oh,
and maybe we want, go.
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to make this proclamation. I'm the smartest mod on this app. You know why? Look at my other mods. I surround myself with beautiful women, beautiful, smart women.
True that.
I'm going to be honest, Jay. There aren't many stages that have this many women that I would be able to tolerate. I can make an exception for this.
I'm with Kelly on.
No, I like all my mods, and I think you're all beautiful women and smart. So that's what I want to say. Good morning, Miriam.
Good morning.
How you doing? Do you want to get into this masculine conversation?
Sure. I think a lot of what Elle was saying rings true. There's some really good points that were brought up. I think that problem is that we try to fit everybody into boxes, and they have to fit into these prescribed boxes. And I mean, Kelly, I'm not picking on you, but let's use Kelly as an example. Kelly knows how to climb up a ladder and do woodworking and fix shit. Like your stereotype man of the house to be Mr. Fix-It. Kelly knows how to do all that, but she is also a superb chef, and she takes care of her life, and she does all of these things. And it doesn't make her husband any less of a man or Kelly any less of a woman. But it works because it's just, it's just the kind of ethics of living that Kelly has.
Well, Mary, let me ask you this. Yeah. Since we're going to talk about Kelly like she's not here.
Sorry, I didn't mean Kelly.
No, it's okay. Kelly don't mind. But do you think the fact that, and I'm saying this respectfully, that Kelly was raised by a strong father plays into that?
I mean, I think being raised by a strong father, you're forgetting that we all have also our own DNAs and our own lived experiences and our own desires, and we have. So yes, there's nurture and nature and all of these things combined, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think that is just one factor in it. I don't think it's like the whole picture. And a lot of it is all about Kelly's personality too. I mean, she's like a strong, brilliant. She's not a feminist, but she doesn't prescribe to the feminist ideology. It's just, hey, like, I'm a human being and I can do this shit too. And I think that's where we start to, like, again, putting people back in boxes is what defines, the femininity or the masculinity of it. And when you're talking about the dating world, you look for somebody who has the same energy and the same desires and all that kind of stuff. But when you start to put them in boxes like, are you a Trump supporter or not, that's a little bit different. And, to Elle's point, Elle can be a strong woman out in the field, but when she gets home, it's not any less of being a strong woman. It's just, hey, I just want to be taken care of. And recognizing that men want to take care of women is also something that shouldn't be taboo to talk about.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. I mean, it's just been my lived experience, not for me, but for people around me. I find that men, and you men, it's my trigger, you should put your big boy pants on. I find men are really intimidated by strong, intelligent women. And I just don't, I think a man's role is to empower that, not try to change that.
I don't think all men are, Jay. I think you're talking about some men again. Like, I don't think you need to make opposite statements, because strong, intelligent women want equally strong, intelligent women. Strong, intelligent men want equally strong, intelligent women, because there's also, it's really attractive to be able to, like, date somebody, just to partner and have a partner with the brain that you can talk to, like that. So men also do want intelligent women.
Not Malone.
I don't think that's true.
Malone wants dumb women. Malone, what do you think?
Could I comment on this? What you said was interesting, Jay. You said men are intimidated by strong, intelligent women. I've definitely observed this. I think, certainly in the U.S., I've personally felt it more than any other place, in part because there's much fewer really beautiful women compared to some other places I've traveled. And the ones who are showered with so much attention all the time that they grow a sort of psychic shield, and they often send psychic signals to men who approach that, like, to cut them down when they reject them. And I think this is very damaging for a male ego that become intimidated to approach. The intelligence thing, I really like that you said that, Jay, because I've noticed this. I'm very fortunate that I'm very attracted to intelligence. It's, if anything, an invitation to me. It's like a point that I feel I can connect with. I'm not claiming to be the most intelligent person, but I'm certainly not intimidated, and I'm very attracted, and I can have an actual conversation with an intelligent woman that is sort of a lot more painful with most dumb women.
Well, wait, Malone, Kelly's an intelligent woman, and she can't even stand you. Okay.
Well, she can't stand me. I mean, she can and she can't. I love Kelly. But, I've definitely, what you're saying is true, though. Especially a lot of dumb men are very intimidated by intelligent women. I think it's why a lot of intelligent women have such a hard time in the dating market. Like,
all right, let me jump in. So, Agent, I hear you. You've just said a lot. So I want to reply to the first half of what you said. And I don't hate Agent. I actually think Agent would probably make a really good partner, maybe even a good dad. He's a good guy. He's definitely a nerd, though, ladies. So if you want to get into his back channel, just know that. Maybe send the message in binary. But anyways, the Agent, like, you come from the least attractive part of the country, and that's not your fault. And now you're in Canada, and so I apologize, but I'm not going to say that America is better or worse looking than any other country. But I think all that's relative, because dudes are traveling the world, right? They're traveling their town in high school. And maybe if they're lucky enough when they get older, they do. But the women around them are pretty much the scale that they're working with. So I think that's a silly way for you to claim it. I also think that to the point about maybe men being, I don't know, less masculine or intimidated by women, I think that this might be like an urban thing. Dude, like I'm not from the city. I grew up in a very rural environment. And there were definitely fucking like limp-wristed bitch boys, but most of the guys were fucking dudes. Like, and I expect guys to be dudes. I don't care if I'm in Tokyo. Like, if I was single and dating, like I would expect. Like, I literally wouldn't go on dates with guys that didn't know how to change tires. I don't care if you have AAA. You better have AAA, otherwise you're broke bitch. But you need to know how to change a tire because AAA may take too long. This kind of thing. Like, this is minimum requirement shit for. What I think.
Very demanding woman.
Isn't really whether or not the divine insight or foresight is possible or not. The question is really who's driving it.
Oh, that's up in. Well, first of all, there's still 5 House elections that are up in the air, and I imagine that those are really close, which is the reason why they're still being held back. So those are probably now the Pennsylvania Senate election went to an automatic recount because it was less than a percentage. As a matter of fact, it was less than 0.5%. So that automatically goes to recount, and so they don't even have to actively challenge it. It's automatically happens, and that one's still, I think, in limbo. I think there's only about a 1,400 person difference in that one, and with I think there's 7 million voters in Pennsylvania, so that's a pretty big deal. Well, the thing is, between we're talking about the 3.
Doesn't even realize that 90% of most high schools haven't even read the required reading summer list and their fucking yearly reading list. Like, most kids start those 90% of their shit.
Movies and television?
Oh my god, dude. You're doing this appeal to individualism, whereas I'm talking about your society as a whole, including all the fucking different spectrum, bro. We live in a spectrum of people in society where not everybody is a middle-class homo liberal or a champagne liberal, where not everybody lives the exact same lifestyle. Bro, you are living in fairy tale land if you don't know anything about this country. It is crazy.
Seneca, right? Wasn't Seneca a slave?
I said in the last 100, like 50, 70 years. Like, can you think of one in the last 50, 70 years?
Well, I gave you Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo was a good answer.
No, it wasn't. We're talking in modernity. We're not talking about, like, Western classics. We're talking in the modern society. Yeah, modern society, you still haven't thought of one. The only one I can come close to, I think, is, like, Falling Down. I think Falling Down with Michael Sorvillo. Falling Down with Mike. What's his name? The one Douglas. That's like that's the white anti-hero in American cinema that I can think of, actually. Maybe Charles Bronson.
It was done tongue-in-cheek to make him look stupid, though, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. It was. But ironically, like, it's actually pretty good if you think about it from the working class position. It's actually their hero, their anti-hero, ironically.
But Zed, why are we so about Latin friends in Australia? What's the purpose of that?
You're asking why
they want to be racist and say since the Germans did this, you're going to do it too because you're white.
Oh, thanks.
You guys are white like the Germans. We need to make sure you white.
Your question is why?
No, I'm trolling.
Yeah. Why should we?
I think most people probably want to study a bit of Anne Frank. A, she's a young author, and it's rare to have a full novel written by a young author. B, she went through a very specific historic period, so that brings people to it. But I'd also say that pretty much most of the English speakers, anyone that descends from the Germanic language base, is concerned about the Holocaust. It's part of their history.
Right. Wow. So now Germanic-speaking Anglo-Saxons have a propensity for genocide.
Oh, really? Is that what
very interesting.
Is that what you heard with your brainwashed from mind?
Yes. Because you just said a Germanic.
I want to be a doctor.
Germanic
your ears
Anglo-Saxon, right? English is Anglo-Saxon. You know, so that is literally what
I'd suggest a hammer.
All right.
You know, it's weird as a minority inside their society. Hold on. No, exactly. It's weird how as a minority, not just you, but any minority in a majority society of people, and this minority is telling the majority, hey, you better not genocide us. Remember what happened last time you did that? Like, I find it so weird, right? People of that minority.
Who do you think ended the genocide in World War II?
Not you.
Nobody did. Nobody.
No. It stopped. The genocide ended. The Germans were unsuccessful in their attempt. Who ended it?
Nobody ended the genocide.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Of course somebody ended it.
Are you talking about the Holocaust, like the Auschwitz?
What ended World War II, psycho?
Soviet Union and America?
Yes.
Actually, they didn't know that was really going on. They thought it was
real. The Americans or Anglo-descended Germanics have a concern about the genocide created by the fatherland where their ancestors came from. You're crazy. America
This is a narrative. This is crazy. They were just trying to defeat an enemy, and then they found out that they were holding people in Auschwitz like that. Like, what are you talking? They didn't know if this was true. They heard.
Okay. Let me frame it for you a little bit differently, Gio. Part
Frame
of
it however you want,
America's mythology of their great contribution to humanity.
No, I would say it's the progressive.
The fucking genocide, you jackass. They tell themselves that. I'm not telling them that. They want a victory lap for ending genocide.
You can applaud that. That's not their prerogative.
Not for the
That was not their prerogative.
They don't give a shit about them or the gypsies or the gays. They don't care. They were still persecuting the blacks. They even had them in separate regiments, and they still tested them. They were the Americans were not like idealistic. They decided to call themselves idealistic after the fact, and part of their current cultural heritage is the enders of the German genocide of the Jews. The Jews aren't telling them that. They're telling themselves that. And like, I don't know why you would think America is not concerned about ending genocides, especially when they successfully have a victory lap for one. It's part of their track record. That's why they do it. Because then they can do it again.
Exactly. It was only when the Jewish, business owners and politicians in America pressured the American public to help the Jews, or they would try to create an economic.
Just made by talking about the past.
Hold on, this is what I don't like about it. I don't have anything against the Jews, but when you're making this whole World War II about the Jews, that's problematic, right?
I'm not making World War II about the Jews. I'm making World War II about America, the way America does, because I'm an American and I think like Americans. And America, World War II was about America and how America won the day again. That's the American story. How did America win the day? Well, there were evil people. What were they doing? They were doing horrible things to people. And what did America do? America stopped them.
That was not
the simple American narrative.
That was not their prerogative.
What? Oh, so you're going to tell America they were wrong to engage in that? What they tell themselves?
No. America wanted. What? What FDR wanted was. He wanted.
Again, you're missing the point, Daniel. Please. Talking about what Americans thought in the 1940s is really not what I'm discussing. I'm literally discussing what Americans think today based on the stories they and their grandfathers and fathers told themselves about World War II. And the story they told themselves about World War II is that there was a horrible, evil man named Hitler who led the Germans and the Nazi Party into a violent war of aggression against many European powers and started to enact a genocide against his own people and the Jews broadly of Europe. And America put an end to it. Now, the Jews just happened to be a part of that story. I don't demand that the Americans tell it that way. There are definitely some Jews in America that demand that the Americans tell it that way. But regardless, America is telling itself that. They vote on it. They decide what to put in the curriculum and whether or not to put Holocaust studies in there or how to teach World War II.
They don't vote on that.
Lots of times they don't teach a lot of the wars. They didn't teach much about Vietnam or Korea.
Where's the vote for that?
Exactly.
or what?
There is no
Where
vote.
can I sign up for that?
It's all published.
The public.
It's nomadic desires.
Congress.
Hey,
It's in
where's the
Congress.
It's
in
where can I
Congress.
sign up for that vote?
Go. Be an informed citizen.
Oh yeah, people
It's
are
the
very
popularization
the
of
problem
a
for your
phrase
side
like.
Listen,
as-
go to your.
I love how no child was implemented without ever telling running on it, but that's democracy.
Gain an understanding of your representative government, and then go talk to your representative. Schedule a meeting. Talk to him.
Oh my God, it's so crazy he says this when.
That's what the Jews do.
The meeting has been completed. They're going to abolish the Department of Education, and the meeting has already been adjourned. So there's already.
Maybe this is why you don't get anything done. You don't take the baby steps.
I get a lot done, man.
Okay, so then you know how to do it.
We almost got
And you're
Trump
playing
for
stupid.
Virginia. We almost flipped Virginia.
I'm just gonna keep acting like you're stupid until you stop playing stupid.
And
You're stupid.
I don't think you're stupid. You're just obfuscating with a high IQ. Stupid.
Right. Obfuscation of the moral harms you feel all of society must bend to your will.
No, to President Trump's.
Right, to his will. You just don't understand this place, man. You don't get America.
But Mixer, you cannot lie about how the Jews find a lot of the racism actually against other ethnicities in America, right?
What do you mean find racism about other ethnicities?
Like from Hollywood, right? Hollywood alone, right?
But Hollywood is just a reflection of culture. It's made by a whole bunch of
What culture? What culture?
American culture.
Are you sure?
Hollywood is in America. It's written by Americans speaking and writing in American English. Yeah, it's American culture.
By American patriots? I don't think so, like I said. It's
America. I don't know what
produced by people who are anti-American, or at least America's down a couple of rungs in their hierarchy.
No, it's really more a question of what's most entertaining.
Yeah, trannies jumping and fucking whores jumping around is entertaining.
If that's what you guys want to watch, that's what you'll see.
Oh, you guys will produce it.
I don't produce anything. I'm an attorney. I stop people from fighting.
Look, I don't blame the Jews for being degenerates in Hollywood. It's what they can do, and they can get away with it. It's America's fault, not actually.
I think you're hiding your lack of understanding of Hollywood in anti-Semitism.
It's not a coincidence that a lot of these companies are owned and directed by Jews, right? First of all, second of all, and they do have a massive influence on American politics and lobbying that you cannot deny, right? Third is that the Jews have an active interest pushing Israel, the Zionist plan of Israel, right? Greater Israel. So this is all facts, right? I'm not we don't have this, preconditioned,
Okay, let me pose as a hypothetical, Daniel. If the Jews have this pervasive thought control and mind control, and you can see it, right? You see that the Jews are owning Hollywood.
It's a sign. No.
Hey,
It's a
I'm literally in the middle of a sentence.
Never stopped you from interrupting. Why should he care about you? The best interrupter on Clubhouse is suddenly appealing to not interrupting. It's the funniest shit.
Really?
I've ever
Gio
heard.
is like the biggest interrupter I've ever heard.
Oh man, the irony is just astounding. The lack of self-awareness, the lack of self-awareness is just crazy, dude. Like the lack of
crazy, bro.
It's crazy. It literally is. It literally is. The fact that
you're right.
you're like the interrupter in chief, and then you're like appealing to like not interrupting. It's just hilarious. When that's all you do on Clubhouse is interrupt people and overtalk them. Absolutely crazy. Right?
Okay, no, Gio, what did you want to say? Go ahead.
I was just talking about how much you interrupt people, and then you're asking for Daniel to stop interrupting. That's all.
Finish your thought, Mixer.
Was that it? That was it?
Be quick.
No, that was it.
Goalposts.
He's obfuscating once again. Verbal magic.
Daniel, you're a person. You have your own opinions. You're watching Hollywood. You feel like they're projecting a certain kind of an image, and you notice that the Jews are doing it. So it seems like you're able to identify who's trying to trick you into thinking things, and you're still able to think your own thing. So what exactly is your concern? That there are people dumber than you?
Not everybody. Yeah, there are. Aren't there?
Okay,
Aren't
so
there people dumber than everyone?
Everyone is afraid of the people they feel will not see through the bullshit the way that they all have.
And mean, hasn't that been true for at least the last 100 years of people going in one direction? I would propose they have
people that you consider dumber than you. They consider you dumber than them, and they're just making their own choices. Like you say they're brainwashed, they say you're just a moron, or that you're.
I don't know, bro. There's the illiteracy rate amongst adults in America that's pretty astounding.
Go ahead. Why don't you find me a person who has not been brainwashed? I will wait.
Yeah. Well, this is. I mean, there's so many loaded things in there. I don't know.
Bring me one.
But you know, Maxim, the thing we can say about the Jews is that you guys are not ethical businessmen, you know, in America.
Okay, you can say whatever you want about it. It's America.
No, that's a fact, right? You guys could return that. No, you guys don't give back to the community, right?
I didn't know that either. That's interesting.
That's a fact.
I didn't know all these
I don't know
facts.
why
You're
is that.
Thank you.
No, I'm serious. That's a fact. I don't know why you don't want to admit
where'd you get it from?
Look, the amount of money that the Jewish lobby groups and the Jewish, business interests
how much money is that?
make. Exactly, and Wall Street.
Exactly.
You guys make a lot of money, right? Goldman Sachs, all these companies, Lehman Brothers. Look, this is a lot of money, right? You guys should have given a lot back to the people. I'm just saying from an ethical and moral perspective, you guys are bad.
From an ethical perspective, the banks?
No, I'm just saying as an individual and a group, right? You guys are making, I know what the Jews are doing and I understand, but you have to internalize this, right? People from the outside will accuse you and think you guys are the villains and will hold you guys responsible for their own, miserable and, I don't know what was the misery in their life, right? Whether they're right or not, I'm not gonna make a value judgment. But they are right on one thing is that you guys are bad, not very moral, not giving back to the community. They're right. I don't know what to say.
Period. Student analysis, damn it.
Bad and don't give back to the community.
Right. So what he's saying is that Jews are very visible in every culture where they try to integrate in. And that happened in Germany. That was actually one of the things that really pissed off Hitler because they were very successful bankers and lawyers and scientists and journalists and all this stuff. It's the same thing that happened in Russia. And the same thing happens in the United States and happened in the United States, right? Jews are trying to be more American than an average American, more Russian than an average Russian, more German. And that really pisses people off, I know, because people are people
you guys don't give back to the community.
And I mean, just a second, I'm going to finish them, so quick.
That's a fact.
And that's something, yeah, but they're just trying to be a better, just trying to be more patriotic. They love their country that they live in. People who live in America, they don't love Israel as much as they do love America. You have to understand it. Otherwise, they would just immigrate. So one of the things that pisses people off is that Jews are actually better integrating than natives or maybe other cultures, even though they're in minority. They're constantly in minority. So I would agree with you on one thing, that it is always better for the Jews to live in Israel because in the end, you're going to hate them for being better than you. Yeah, that's true.
No, because
mostly the independent ones and stuff.
We don't have that at all.
Yeah, the chains don't do that or anything. It's the smaller lunch places and stuff like that. Mostly.
Yeah, we don't have that at all. And it's I think in New York they have that a lot, right? Where you can just buy slice.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. And I was like, damn. Because sometimes you don't want to eat a whole pizza, You just want some slice. You just crave it a little bit and then.
Oh well.
You know what I mean?
What are you listening to?
It's a German rap.
Why?
Because he's Lebanese and I support him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, you're trying a little too hard now, Smox. Is there Israeli pizza? I bet she tastes like pig's blood.
Bro, Jewish people can be whatever they want. Why? Because they have fucking country. What the fuck, Smokesy? Bro, you're immigrant. Parents used to work for the cartel. Shut the fuck up. American pizza tastes much better than Italian. Yes, I agree, because I went to fucking Italy and I tried different types of pizza and I don't like it. Yeah, Smokesy, do not try with this whole shit here in my room. I mean, I troll sometimes myself, but I don't know if you're trolling or if you're being serious about the Jews.
Well, Jews are smart people.
Yeah, they are. The Ashkenazis. But they're also inbred. You know, when an Ashkenazi wants to marry another Ashkenazi, they have to take blood tests just to see that they're not related. I'm being dead ass serious.
Well, no, I keep telling you, they are all related.
Breeding,
they have to do a blood test to make sure the kids aren't going to have genetic diseases.
Yeah. It's true. I read about it, by the way.
Yeah. It's multiple different ones that they that are common among them. But they are all related. They're all like first cousins.
Have you noticed that Ashkenazis have like IBS and shit? They're cursed. Well, how come?
The IBS genes are linked to the schizophrenia gene.
I mean, God said that people will be cursed, and they are cursed. But I wonder why the Ashkenazis are like cursed with IBS, stomach issue and shit. Why aren't
She's projecting. She's projecting her own stomach disorder.
I actually thought about something. You should actually go to Jerusalem. There's a lot of beautiful Jewish girls there. I saw it. They're very good looking. You should actually go and find yourself a sweet ass.
See, even Billy likes the idea.
Billy, you like every idea.
I was in the room and then I got
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. There's probably more beautiful Jewish girls there.
Yeah, there's no Israeli pizza. There's nothing Israeli at all. Like, literally, they stole every fucking food the Arabs have. And then now they call it, like, Israeli knafe, Israeli matlube, Israeli lahma baji, like, stuff like that. Israeli hummus.
All your fucking rules. You only talk about Israel. All your fucking rules. You talk.
I talk only about Israel.
What the?
Because I'm obsessed with
leave your hand.
I'm done.
Enter my.
Confidence is sexy to women too. I'm not gonna lie.
Let me say this, and I'm gonna say something that might be polarizing.
The real crew. Here we go.
Once you get that
All right,
past that first stage,
come back to the left.
Of like, all right, she's cute, he's cute, and there's chemistry. The two things that seem to matter to women, and that's just because I'm back in the dating scene, is wallet size and penis size. That's it.
I honestly.
Did you guys know?
I think the penis size thing is overrated. I think that there's a shock and awe to it, where if a woman sees a big penis, they'll go, oh dang. But like for the practicality purposes, her holes are very pliable anyway. So if you have a mid-sized unit, you're gonna be.
Any woman that says penis size doesn't matter is lying. I'm sorry.
No, and respectfully, I'll just disagree with you. I think that if you catch women when they're talking about their lovers, most of the time they'll say, "Oh, this guy's cute." But if you really listen to what they're interested in, and I listen very intently, they like things like how much attention does he pay to the way that they like to be touched, because women are different, and if you have somebody that's very attentive, they could go ahead and ask the women on stage. If somebody,
I was gonna say, why is it two men that are the only two talking about?
It only matters if it's really small. I said.
Well, Roger, wait, Roger, you have a question in the chat from. Let me find it. Where is it? Somebody delete. Anonymous Ada wants to know, Roger, are you giving yourself away? See, they throw panties at you.
No. I think what she's saying is like maybe I'm advocating
that big dicks don't matter. This is what they're saying is like maybe Roger has a small dick. Listen, I've told you guys this before. Whether you have a huge dick, whether you have a tiny dick, you should always tell women you have a tiny dick because A, they're gonna fucking think that's funny, and B, if you tell them it's huge and it's not the biggest one they've ever seen, then they're gonna think that you were like blowing smoke. And so you should always underrate your penis size. That way, it's look. If it is tiny and they see it, they go, wow, he's honest. There's some virtue in that. If it's mid-sized, they'll say, oh, he was exaggerating. It's not so bad. And then if it is big, they'll be like, that motherfucker. And so you just got to lower the expectations and then clear the hurdle very easily.
Well, I have a question because, where is it? Kristen in the chat said there is too small or too big. So what is considered too small or too big?
Asian and black.
All right, I want to throw another thing out there. I'm curious what Elle thinks about this, but anyone else can jump in. So we're talking about initial attraction. What are you attracted to? Those kind of things. But then the other piece of it is, if you're looking to do something beyond just having fun, dating, fucking, all that, now you want to be in the long-term relationship. And this thing of, and this is what I'm claiming, so you guys call me out if you think it's bullshit, people have no patience anymore. They have no patience. As soon as they get sick of hearing me talk, they can jump to another room. As soon as they get tired of whatever the person they're dating, on to the next one. I feel like that's part of the problem when it comes to actually staying in a relationship.
Ooh, that's actually a good one. I do agree with you. I think people are so bombarded with options and choices, and when you've decided to date someone, I've heard my girls talk about this who are in their 20s talk about, I just got the ick, so I immediately just I'm like, what the ick? It could be something so simple like he chooses food to, I could hear he has a jaw pop, when he chews. Something and I'm like, so let me get this straight. You liked everything else. It'll be some minuscule thing, and they're on to something else. And I've said even to my girls, if you like somebody, but you're also entertaining conversations with everyone else, yeah, you're not actually investing in that person. You're actually looking for reasons to not be with this person because you've got 10 other options. So yeah, that's what's different about dating now than when I was dating. Not that you didn't have options, but not constantly in your ear, swiping left, swiping right, getting notifications while you might actually having a conversation with somebody who's a potential. It's just, I think it is something to talk about. I agree with you.
The number one thing that predicts who you're going to be with, and this is throughout human history, and it's only now changing because of how easily we can be socially mobile, and then you have social media that allows you to connect with people around the globe, is proximity. It used to be if you grew up in a town that a train didn't come through your town, you didn't have a major airport, you were going to fuck and marry somebody who lived in your town. That's just the way it is. Maybe the town next to you. And so proximity has changed. That is the biggest thing that's changed right now, which is why you can have some beautiful girl that's in the Midwest that would have never had access to people in California or New York that have wealth or perhaps a better dental plan than the guy in their neighborhood. And so now what you see is these well-off guys that could go on to dating sites and then just they could pick somebody out of Kansas and say, hey, want to join the civilized world. And that's what ends up happening. I think that proximity has changed because of
Roger, would you travel to meet somebody that you met on a dating app or some social app? Would you travel for that person?
No comment.
Okay. I won't even go past Queens. I'm in Brooklyn, I'm staying in Brooklyn. But I get what you're saying.
Bro, let me just tell you, dude. I try to keep women at arm's length, but every once in a while, the special ones lure you in. It doesn't matter where they're at. Doesn't matter what they're doing. Doesn't matter the circumstances, how irrational it could be. Sometimes it's like a magnet that just pulls you in. So, the distance thing. Have gun, we'll travel. Kelly didn't like that comment. I don't know.
Wait, Hope, in the chat, will you throw out some of the icks? I'm curious about the icks.
Yes, that was icks for me. I was agreeing with Kristen with hers, but I added the scratching your balls and readjusting while walking the streets with me. That's an ick.
That's happened to you, where you're walking down the streets and dude just grabs his sack and starts screaming?
Yeah. And I also actually see people in the streets doing it, not just with me, but in general. Like, I see so many guys just like readjusting and scratching, and I just find that to be so gross.
So, you're back in the dating pool. Welcome to the cesspool. What's your criteria that you look for in the men?
Hold on, let me get a pen. I want to take down.
Criteria. Okay. I need someone who likes to travel, and not just in the U.S., like travel overseas. It's not a criteria, but I do, and I know Roger's that because he doesn't like flying, but you can always take a boat or a cruise, Roger. I like someone to speak another language besides English, but it's not a criteria.
I'm out.
I like someone who eats healthy, who likes to exercise.
Oh, for fucking 3. What's going on, folks?
That's 4 then. That's 4. You don't eat healthy. You don't exercise.
I do
you don't speak languages. You don't want to travel.
I do exercise, but the eating healthy thing, that's, that's a work in progress. Anyways, keep going. Hope, I just want to let you know, it's not going to work between you and I. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. I'm sad, but okay. Let's see what else. I mean, like, superficially.
Wait. Is there a height requirement, a weight
I was going to go. Superficially, 90% of the guys that I've dated have been 6 feet and above, even though I'm tiny. So I do like taller men.
Permanently friend zoned by Hope. This is the worst day ever on Clubhouse. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Roger. But I've dated guys that are shorter. Just the majority have been 6 foot and above. What else? What else, JB? Ask me.
Weight, does for a living, religion.
Well, weight, I mean, if they're eating healthy and exercising, they're obviously not going to be overweight. So I like someone who's slim. I don't like bodybuilders. I like more like soccer player type physiques or basketball player type physiques. Living, not that important as long as they...
Political affiliation.
It doesn't make a difference as long as they're not super left or super right. I'm moderate. Religion, I mean, I don't practice religion myself. I don't particularly believe in organized religion for myself. They can be whatever religion they want to be. I just don't want to be practicing anything myself. You got someone for me, JB? Someone in New York?
No. New Yorkers are lazy and out of shape. So Squeaky wants to know how tall you are.
I'm 5'1". I'm 5'1", and I weigh 94 pounds.
Let me welcome Little Rolly to the stage. Little Rolly, good morning.
PDD is my favorite hero. PDD.
What's your criteria when you're looking to date a man?
Besides changing the tire.
Same question as that.
my dad wouldn't let us drive a car till we could demonstrate we could change a tire. No joke. There were 3 girls. The youngest was a boy. We all had to change a tire. That was like a baseline. So, again, I want stimulating conversation more than just sports on television. I also like to travel. I am fairly adventurous as far as outdoor activity. Those who know. You don't have to be into that, but you have to not keep me from my passion. And I travel. I'm going to go fly fish. I travel to fly fish. I also have a place about 5 hours from home where I am often. So it's got to be somebody who loves those things. I also love to cook. I work out. I want somebody who can match my energy. And I don't have, a specific body type other than healthy. So
what about political affiliation?
We don't have to align exactly, but as far as how polarized things are right now, if that's an issue and it's something we can't even talk about, then that's a no. We can't have a civil discussion, it's a no. Yeah.
Thank you, El. Good morning, Tio. So he's busy. So, I said this earlier, it's really true. So on these dating apps, and this is no exaggeration, I would say probably 40-45% of that profiles, and I actually one of those few schmucks that read these profiles, say, if you voted for Trump, don't match with me. And I'm like, that's crazy. You won't even have the conversation.
Did you ever hear about the man who put that he was fighting domestic violence charges on his dating profile and all the women that were reaching out to him? So maybe don't put who you voted for, but put that you're sitting there on bail, and let's see how many women come.
Well, Alex, what about all these hot convicts that get like thousands of letters when they come out and they get emails and stuff, and women just fawn over them? Kelly, you're trying to.
Well, before we move too far away from this, I just wanted to say, and I know P's heard this recently, I think there's nothing less attractive than a man declaring he's a
JB, when you're going on all these dates, are you paying 100%? You guys going Dutch? How does it?
Dude, I'm always paying, and I have no problems. To me, that's just something that a man should do. I have no issues with it. I'm not comfortable with a woman paying, even for herself.
I always pay on the first date if I'm not interested because I don't want to have to owe another date.
Oh, to be honest with you, the first time I meet somebody, I'm not doing a date. We're doing a coffee meet and greet because you know within 15 minutes whether you want to see this other person.
I agree with that. I do not want to sit through an entire meal with somebody I knew in the first 5 minutes. That is miserable.
I used to have a little routine. I lived not too far from a comedy club back in the day, and I would have women meet me at the comedy club because then I could gauge, like, do they have a good laugh? Do they have a good sense of humor? Are they offended by particular types of jokes? I think taking a woman to a comedy club is a very good way to assess who they are and what they're about.
I know. I hear this. We've been having this conversation for a little while now, and I'm thinking to myself, I hope you married women in this room appreciate your spouses because the dating pool is really a cesspool.
Yeah, I'm married, and my wife and I are constantly saying that, like, thank the Lord that we are not having to deal with this.
Well, I'll tell you, mindfulness, it's really true what was brought up a little while ago. The easy access that we all have. So, all right, this didn't work out, there'll be 5 others. I don't have that. And as I got older, my mindset has changed in the sense of, listen, when I was in my 20s, I wanted to get laid. Now I'm not in my 20s anymore. I want intimacy, right? Intimacy is vastly different than just sex. I think in this fast food world, we've forgotten how to be intimate with each other. It could be a conversation. It could be so many. Intimacy comes in so many forms. But right now, in this world with this fast food mentality, it's just not happening. Well, since everybody's quiet, this is Healthy Debates. Liberal Karens are mad, and no one cares. I put an article where liberal women withhold sex and shave their heads to protest Trump's win. Have you seen some of these Karens? Nobody's going to touch them anyway. Just my opinion. So here's the question, since Squeaky brought it up earlier. Would anybody on stage, would you meet somebody for some casual fun off the Clubhouse?
What was the question?
Would you meet somebody to hook up in Clubhouse?
To hook up?
Hook up, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same as a dating app, right? You'd have to meet them and see if there's any kind of attraction. Would you, Squeaky?
Adams, the question was to you, Adams.
I'm sorry, did you ask me something?
Would you meet somebody, Hope want to know, would you meet somebody to have a hookup off Clubhouse?
Hell no.
I only asked because JB said you asked, so I was curious to know if you do it. And I think it's like a dating app, right? You don't know until you meet someone in person to see if you want to hook up with them.
I'm going to make another burner account, and I'm going to put the most egregious description of a man in it, and I want to see exactly what the response is. I'm telling you, there is something to that man's theory about, that Tinder account.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't hope, because if things go left and a woman comes on this app and says, JB said this, JB said that, JB did this, man, cancel culture's still around.
But what if you met someone on a dating app and then found out they were also on Clubhouse?
Oh, I wouldn't see him again.
I feel like that's like too much of whatever it is that we all have in one relation.
So if you went on a date, JB, who you met on Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or any of those things, and it went really well, but they were on Clubhouse, you wouldn't see them again?
Absolutely not. I try to explain when I meet people, let's say we go out, it gets to second date, third date, about me hosting these rooms. Let me explain Clubhouse to somebody and some of the things that are said on it, because I've had women saying, "No, I like to be part of that. I want to hear those rooms." I'm like, "No, you don't."
I don't know.
That cut out for me, Jay. Were you saying that you don't tell women immediately about your online friend?
Zero. Like, I don't tell them immediately, but like, let's say we get to that third date, I'll tell them, listen, if they want to get together tonight, I'm going to be hosting this room on the social audio app, and they're like, well, what's that? How the fuck do you really explain Clubhouse to people? Vidal has a question in the chat, Mr. Groot. Are people not meeting other people at work or church anymore? Absolutely terrifying. Right, Del? I don't think anybody's meeting out socially anymore. Just
as far as describing Clubhouse to people that are not on Clubhouse, I would just ask them if they're familiar with party lines. And then if they are familiar with party line, then just say it's party line for adults with at least one,
personality disorder.
Yeah, this thing libertarians attract, autistic people. This app attracts, people with some severe personality issues, specifically narcissism. Right, Dr. Jordan?
My favorite is when my husband tries to explain what Clubhouse is to his friends and referencing me. It's really.
I think that it's just been my experience that since this whole political upheaval in America, I think Republican women are a lot hotter than Democratic women. Just the ones I've seen.
We don't have dick.
Would anybody move across country for a potential suitor?
Move across for a potential suitor?
Yeah,
there's a chance that it's not a potential suitor after you move there?
Well, listen, do we really know each other? And if you meet somebody on a date night, I don't know, I believe you're married, but as a single person, you get on these dating apps and they're kind of like all over the place, even though I put my preference to within 10 miles of where I live because, to get 10 miles in New York City could take you 3 hours. But then I get people from like Kansas and fucking, Iowa reaching out to me. And I'm like, I don't know what's the point of even talking?
Who's in Kansas?
Nobody. Dude, nobody. But this is what shows up in my profiles. Women reaching out to me in Kansas.
That happens.
I can answer you. I can answer you. Yeah, a lot of people who take a leap of faith, it really changes their life and it works out. So if you have the financial resources, if you're very, very financially comfortable, take that leap of faith, jump into a new city, let this new girlfriend show you around, trust.
JB, they show up in your profile when they're traveling and they're actually here. They don't actually reach out.
But Hope, what's the point? Like, if you live in Kansas, there's probably 100% chance I'm moving to Kansas.
Yeah, but a lot of times she may be interested in moving to New York. So the bottom line is an enormous number of single women all over America dream of living in New York. They dream of living in your neighborhood. And so part of the reason they're coming on to you is because some of them want you to invite them to move to New York.
Yeah, I have no desire never to live in New York. Zero.
I'm from Iowa. I think New York is the best city in the world. So I don't want to move there right now, but it's an amazing place. I lived there for 3 years.
I will visit. I love it. Will visit. Have no desire.
Well, let me say this. Let me say good morning to Lulu, who, and I'm not doubting you, Lulu, is probably one of the most beautiful, intelligent women on this app. So, Lulu, we're having this conversation about dating and all this other stuff. What do you think?
I think it's a good conversation to be had. And to answer your question, like if it's worth moving for somebody, like I think yes. And it depends on the connection, meet up a couple times,
see how the phone conversations go, how the vibe is when you hang out. If it's a really special connection that's like once in a lifetime, why wouldn't you want to move and try and cultivate that? That's my stance on it.
Well, Lulu, I gotta tell you something. There's zero chance of me ever moving to, like, Florida. And there's beautiful women down there. It's just...
But what if you fell in love and this was like the one for you? I mean, love changes a lot of opinions and things. So I mean, if it's true love and you have that special connection, you might be singing a different tune.
Joe, you were trying to jump in. You wanted to say something? I don't know, man. I think that the thing that bewilders me is that I would think as you get older, it would get easier, and it seems to be getting so much harder. Because I think at our age, my age, maybe, I don't know how Hope is, I'm guessing she's in her 30s, that it's just so difficult to find somebody that matches with you.
JB, can we get a reset so I know what we're talking about? I just got here. Salute to the stage.
Good morning, CEO. So we're just talking about relationships, dating apps, giving perspectives from a man, perspectives from the women on the stage. So we're just talking about really relationships and stuff and where we're at in society.
Yeah, my first child's mother, I met her on POF, Plenty of Fish. I didn't know that we would eventually have 2 kids and stuff like that. But yeah, I met her on a dating app. Yeah, I don't know if that's the wisest place to meet women, but definitely met my child's mother on a dating app. And yeah.
Isn't Plenty of Fish a Christian website?
No. Nothing Christian about Plenty of Fish.
I thought it was too.
I know. I was gonna laugh and be like, "How do you find a baby mama on a Christian dating website?"
Let me say this, because Dawn wrote in the chat. JB, get off the short-term apps. Less Tinder, more Hinge and Bumble. I got to be honest, it's just been my experience. It's the same people on all these apps. Even though I will say, I've met some nice people on Hinge.
Okay, JB, I have an app for you to get on today. It's called Hula, and I'm friendly with the investors. The pitch for this app is that most women are worried about meeting a weird guy on a dating app. So this app weeds out all the weird guys. And the way it does, it weeds out every single guy that's a liar or peculiar. And the way it does is the only guys allowed on the app are guys that get multiple letters of recommendation from women. So you have to get your sister and your mother and your ex-girlfriends and your nieces to write letters of recommendation saying that you're not weird. And here's the key thing. If there are women that are thinking about dating you, they can first message the 5 women that recommended you. They could do a phone call with the women that recommended you to make absolutely certain that these women are real and that you're not a creep. And because this app gives women the power to not talk to creeps, this app has thousands of women that refuse to join the other apps. So check.
Well, I appreciate the recommendation, and I'm being sincere, but you don't know my family. My sisters would go to town on my ass. So
okay, well, you have
zero.
Okay, let me make a humble suggestion, and then I'll yield the mic. There's hundreds of women on Clubhouse that know you're a great guy. So ask every single woman you're friends with on Clubhouse to write you a letter of recommendation. You'll have 100 credible letters of recommendation, and then you will go to town in my home.
Thank you.
Yeah, they can call me. They can call me up.
What's up, Holly? Good morning.
That app sounds like it's full of a bunch of big backs.
Well, what do people, this is my question, what do people, like when you go to a dating app, what does the majority go there for? I know when I go on a dating app, I'm going on there looking for women who want to link up and have passionate sex. That's me.
Well, how old are you?
I know the task.
CC, how old are you?
Man, I'm 36.
Okay. And I want to say this respectfully because we shared space before. It's time to grow up, man. Because all that's going to lead you to, and I'm not judging you. I mean, listen, you want to have casual sex, God bless. But I'm saying if you want to find a real partner in life, that's never going to work, bro.
Well, yeah, I don't think that I'm desire a real partner in life. If I'm on Tagged and I'm just linking up with women and we're just sipping and
Wait,
going out to eat.
do you tell them in advance, look, I'm just looking to get laid, or you play the roles?
I think they know that I'm just there to get laid. No role to be played. I don't say, hey, I like you. Hey, what's your last relationship like? Like, I don't ask anything that implies that I'm interested in relationship. I say everything that implies that I'm interested in, you know?
So let me just say, and listen, your experience is your experience and you're allowed to have it. But my thing is this. For me, at the stage of life I'm at, man, I want substance. I do. I know it sounds corny. I'm not looking to get laid. That'll happen. It's easy to get laid. But for me, like I said, for this man, I want to wake up and have coffee with my girl. I want to be able to do things. I want her to teach me things, just like I could teach her. You know, I think you get to that certain
Teaching
age,
things? What is this, college?
Man, I need that substance. I need something.
He needs a substance.
I'm older than you.
Oh, well, yeah. If you're older than me, then yeah, for sure, I would imagine that would be the type of thing you'd be on if you're in your 40s or 50s.
Listen, see, I'm not judging anybody that has casual sex. I'm just saying that don't work for me. You know, for me, you get to that age and stage in life where you want to, like, legit, man, you want to build something. I could do everything on my own. I don't need a woman to build with me. But let me tell you something, CEO, and this is really the truth. If you're a real man, you allow your partner to empower you. And that could be that could be coming home from a tough day. Because listen, you hear they say it all the time, it's 50-50. That's a lie. It's bullshit. It should always be 100-100 from both people. And I want to know when I come home and I tell my partner, listen, I only got 30 today. She's going to pick up that slack, just like I'm going to do for her.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, sometimes we need that. Man, sometimes we do need that. I think if a woman gives up sex first, then I may, see something in her and may desire to want something more. But I'm not waiting for sex. I'm not doing 2-3 dates or weeks waiting for sex.
So wait, hold on. So if she doesn't put it out on the first date, you're never going to speak to her again?
No, it doesn't have to be the first date, but the second or third time, yeah, give them cheeks up. You know what I'm saying? And then if I see something in you, we mesh like that, then maybe I can explore potentially making you something more than that. But out the gate, yeah, like if you give me that, I'm gonna do more for you. You'll get more out of CEO if you give me some.
So let me ask the woman on the stage a question. Do you find the way what he's saying and how he views things to be the norm in the world right now? His thought process?
Maybe, but I find it sad. If it is the norm, I think it's sad. And also, I think that if that is the norm, which you may be right, then this is why we're in the situation that we're in, where we hear so many guys complaining that they can't find the right woman, or they're married to a selfish biatch that nags them all the time. Well, maybe you shouldn't have gotten with the girl that wanted to give it up. Maybe you should have been the man that said, you know what, let's hold off. Let's get to know each other. Let's not do that until let's take this seriously. I don't know.
Hey, what if I want to give it? What if I was the one that wanted to give it up and I was going out to?
That's what my husband did. My husband made the choice that he told me. He said, I've always taken, relationships casually. So had I. He said, but I really mean business about you, and I really don't think we should do it. And we didn't for I don't know. We did it, but we waited for a while. I don't remember how long, but it was a while. And then when we got engaged, we actually chose to be abstinent like for like, I don't know, almost a year. I don't know.
Bullshit.
I can't remember.
No way.
Yeah. We tried.
Let me
reset the clock. And waited till we got married again.
Let me ask you this question, Holland. Do you think that once you have sex with a partner, that changes everything?
Well, it can. Yeah, I think it can either it can bind you closer together with that intimacy, or if it happens too preemptively, and you have a situation where the girl usually, gets more attached, typically, especially if she orgasms, because that's just science. It's biological. Then, yeah, it can kind of add, like, undue pressure to the situation.
Well, I'm just going to say dating sucks. Hey, what's the problem with dating? It can't be so hard. You're in your, late 40s, handsome. You should have a problem. Why did you put up on the thing that the Karens are mad that nobody cares? All of these women that are shaving their heads, you shouldn't have a problem with dating. My brother, what the hell's happened with you? Good morning, chick. Finding women to date is easy. Finding the right one is nearly impossible. I have a certain, criteria of what I'm looking for, other than just, physical attraction. I mean, listen, you have to be physically attracted to the person. But I want somebody who's going to really stimulate me and I guess in subtle ways drive me. I think the pussification of men is real. Are you serious? You don't have any brothers you want to talk to? Like my woman, I don't want to talk to her about all the intricacies of life, the problems I have to finance our mortgage and everything else. Like, what do you want from a woman apart from that? Yes, you can agree with her in a lot of things, and you can stimulate her mentally. And yes, she has to be sexy. Women that are overweight are disgusting, obviously. So what are you looking for? Obviously, you want to find a woman that's in shape, and you can talk to all day long. And I can give you a boner and a hard-on. It can't be so hard in America. There's like, 100 million women that are legible in America. You need to move cities, my brothers. Why are you suffering for? Well, first off, for me, and I'm going to say something that's polarizing, and Kelly's going to want to donkey kick me, but men need to feel just as safe as women, right? We've all tasted, I guess, betrayal at some point in our lives, and I just want to be safe with my partner, know that, trust, man, once you lose trust, it's gone. I don't care how strong that relationship is. My brother, you'll never get trust from a woman. Women only come with you in your good times. The second that you have nothing to offer, they will leave you. No matter how old they are, no matter how good looking they are, no matter how fat they are. You have to keep winning as a man. See, I'm gonna push back on that. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna push back a chick. Tell me, my brother. My daughter. What's wrong with her? I'm gonna tell you, my daughter, who's in her early 30s, has been with her husband since she's 12. That's the only man she's ever known. So there are good women out there. So, for me, listen, I'm never going to have what she has because they're best friends, first and foremost. Oh, for me to trust somebody, man, it's very difficult. I'm not talking about your daughter because obviously she had a good father, but I'm talking about all men. Even with me, with my missus, the second that I start failing in life, she's going to leave me. And she's not going to leave me straight away. She's going to start, maybe in 5 years she'll leave me, maybe in 6 years she'll leave me. Us men, we cannot afford to lose. Women come to us, I don't care what anybody says, it's because of what we have, 100%. And the older we get, the more our pool of women gets. Let's say right now, a man in your 20s, you don't have many options. Maybe you have a good-looking woman, maybe you get a strong woman, blah, blah, blah. But the second you get in your, I think from 25 to 35, you start making money, and then you pick the right woman. But the second you fail, bro, she's gonna leave you. That's why women commit 80% of the divorces in the entire country. Men, you have to wisen up. And if she loves you, it's because you're always doing something. You're always doing something exciting. Let's say you move to a different country. Let's say you get to politics. Let's say you do something else, so that women are not with you just because you're you. There's a reason why a homeless man will never be bought out by a woman. Gentlemen, you have to know reality. And the reason is when you get to your 30s and you're making money, and the woman in your 20s that you want to get with, all of a sudden once it gets with you, she doesn't want to get with you because you're the bestest guy, the hottest, sexiest guy, because you're stupid. It's because she realizes that women between 28 until 35 will settle. And then that's why they'll divorce your ass. And that's a fact. Even if they have children with you. I don't understand why men are so stupid like this with our brothers. Literally. If she didn't want you when you were 22 and broke, and she wants you when you were 31 and making money, what the fuck changed? She got older, she got uglier, you got older, you got uglier. So I don't understand this, Jay. So I think you give the wrong advice, whether we're on your phone. But it's true. The liberals, and last thing, because Jay, I think, is still speaking for someone else than to me. Never, ever, 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 ever marry a liberal woman. Ever. If that's the last thing you're going to do. Because it's the stupidest thing you're going to do.
You sound cheap. Just because the woman now sees value in you, once you...
What are you going to do? Shame me?
No.
I've been knowing a woman the longest time. What are you going to do?
I know, but you said she didn't want you at 22, then you become successful, and you start... You did. You said at 31, when you start making moves, now she wants to come around. Like, come on, man. A woman should want a man that got something going on, bro.
My brother,
come on, man.
I'm not even 31. I'm not even speaking on personal experience.
I know.
I'm talking about the brothers around me, and I'm saying that. Listen to me. And you're one of the problems that a lot of men get fucked over. Listen.
We've listened.
A woman, right? If you're in your 20s and you have nothing going for you, and you have a good woman that sticks by you, never ever leave her. Never. And I mean never ever leave her. But if you're in your 20s and you turn like 29, and the same woman that's been rejecting you all your life, that all of a sudden has like romantic interest in you, never go for her. That's all I'm saying to the brothers. Don't get delusional and don't get upset, because at the end of the day, women go for men that can have something. It's a fact.
Okay, so you gonna let me speak? Because you don't want to got emotional and jumped in when I started speaking. Okay. All right, so listen. Just because a woman doesn't want you at one point in time, and then later on she decides, like, okay, yeah, I want you, that's not a problem. There's women that I've pursued in high school, early 20s that was not interested. For whatever reason, they weren't interested. I get to my 30s. Now they're a little bit more open to the idea. They might have changed what type of men they like. I may have something to offer more than what I did when I was 20, just trying to hang out and smoke and chill. Like, I don't judge a woman for going after what's beneficial for her. She should deal with someone that she actually feels that can actually do something for her. I don't suggest any women deal with a guy just because he was nice, because he was cute. No, like, what does he bring to the table? Can he help you? Can he contribute? Can he move you out of that little studio apartment in downtown LA? Like, can he elevate you? Can he be a man and really put you in a position where, you know, you really feel like you're doing your wife type duties? Like, that's a good thing. Like, I don't never look at a woman who comes around once I'm successful and say, oh, now she wants to use me because this, that, and third. What was different then? Well, different then is I was working at Albertsons, bagging groceries, collecting grocery carts in the parking lot. She was living with her parents. I'm living at my friend's house, sleeping on his couch. I'm thugging it. Now, when I eventually get older and shit start checking out, if she now reconsiders, like, you know what, I want to give Reek a shot. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't take that as, oh, she's fucking with me now that it's convenient. And the woman that's down for me while I don't have anything, of course I would love to stay with her so when things do get better, she can reap the benefits of my success. But if something happens to not check out and she happens to stray away, I'm not just holding on and keeping her because she thugged it with me. If she fucks up, she's out of here. You get what I'm saying? She's gone.
You're 100% wrong. Because the reason why she'll give a man like you a chance after all these years is because she failed to get a better man. And a better man understands that she is not worth it. She is not in his league. So what you're talking about is why are you waiting for a woman like that to come after you? If a woman like that likes you, they like you. If you're waiting until they hit the wall, metaphorically, in their 30s, it means she settled for you, my dog. It means you're not the one that she actually wanted. It means that other better men came through, and now you're trying to step up for a woman that didn't want you. Bro, if she didn't want you in her 20s, she settled for you in her 30s. I don't understand why you don't get this. And you're failing men. You're failing the brothers. Young brothers need to know this.
No, you're insecure. You're insecure. You're not secure.
What am I insecure about what? What am I insecure?
You're insecure, meaning you have a chip on your shoulder. You have a chip on your shoulder. I don't know what your insecurity is.
What am I insecure about? That I don't want a woman that has been ran through by 100 men that settled for me? Or finally to have some money, that a woman that was taken off when she was 18 years of age and other men were fucking her, that after when I'm like 28 years of age, I don't want that. I want a younger woman that don't have the baggage. Why are you calling me insecure like you're a woman? What kind of shit are you talking about? This is
no, you're insecure. You were probably small and skinny and puny like Screech on Saved by the Bell. You got to your late 20s, started pumping iron, started lifting weights, got a little soft.
Cute too.
Well, I'm just going to say, unless you have some money, you're not going to Costco. And you can take your own bag if you want, but you probably aren't going to be able to afford your food unless you have a good job.
You can fill the cart and walk out.
You can stop it. That's fine.
You live in California.
Nope. Georgia.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you're not going to find a lot of Karens down there, but you can look.
I am a Karen. If my food ain't right, I'm not paying for that shit.
That's fair.
There's Karens in Georgia. Go to Peachtree. Go to Buck's Head. There's. Ooh.
I am a Karen.
You gotta go to the affluent area.
If my tenders weren't right, I take them back, talk to the manager, and get it for free.
Are your own tenders right? Do they fit up to your balls?
I mean, if I spend $35 at Dairy Queen, that's like 60 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches I could have made.
I think that would make for a funny SNL sketch if they had like phone a Karen, and then there was like a black guy at a table and he wanted to complain to the waiter, so he called in a Karen to go pick him.
No, I want the John and Kate plus 8 hairstyle.
Yeah, you're amongst a lot of.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go down there and shut the fuck up. But I don't want to kick you.
I think he was trying to put a spell on us.
Yeah, he was putting X on us. So just.
I seek refuge in Allah from Satan. You take your spells elsewhere. Okay.
Thank you, Slayer. Thank you.
I wonder what a Karen would say to a player about his balls. Like maybe somebody can explain. Beth.
She would pretty clearly complain to the manager.
She said they're too meaty.
I would say they are a little smelly, and I'm not going to, mess with this. Mm-hmm.
And don't forget your St. Michael the Archangel prayers, okay?
Don't forget DEFCON 1. Don't forget DEFCON.
I don't think I fit the description of a Karen. I'd like to rescind my nomination. I want to hand it over to...
Blonde with brown highlights.
I don't shop at Costco. I'm not a soccer mom. I'm a baseball mom. I can change my own flat tire. I don't need to coupon. I'm rich enough. So what is that?
Sharon.
Sharon is
Karen.
Just a woman. Just a woman.
Yeah, going to Little League doesn't absolve you of being a soccer mom.
Total baseball mom. It's a total different breed.
In the Midwest, we have hockey.
Listen, that feels like a tribal squabble between you soccer moms, and you can call yourselves whatever you want.
I was not a baseball mom.
I'm a baseball mom.
She's not wrong. We didn't like a soccer mom.
Fucking different. Thank you, El. It's very different, and we will go to blows. We will go to blows over it. It's fine though, because my kid is smarter and he pitches and can strike your kid out. So your kid just kicks.
Okay, I've made this easier. We're not going to go through a nominating and electing process.
Okay.
There's a quiz up top.
Okay, I'm gonna take it.
We'll determine authoritatively if you're a Karen.
Ooh, look at her fine ass.
See, I've never had this haircut. This is why I'm confused.
So, I just want to say the hockey and lacrosse moms are a worser breed than the soccer moms. Just have to say that as a Midwestern gal.
Why? Because we have the money? Why are we worse than
I'm from the Midwest, bitch. My dad has money, bitch. Don't fucking talk.
Listen.
Don't fight.
I don't like the lacrosse moms either. I don't have much experience with the hockey moms, but lacrosse moms, they think their shit don't stink.
No, I usually sit at the games and
maple sticks or something.
No, I always sat at the games and worked while I was there. So, oh well.
I went to lacrosse dad. A funny word to watch.
What about those Karens that knit balls? Like, aren't those like?
I love knitting, and I'm not a Karen. I'm just a black woman.
bitches.
I love knitting. It's so much fun.
I totally love being a bitch.
Were you in the sewing circle?
Wait, we had agreed on a truce, Beth, but we're gonna have to start fighting. I have to.
I don't have time today to fight. I'm sorry,
I have to go work, but you want to make some jaded comments?
Both of you need to sit in opposite corners and think about what you've done. Ignore each other, please.
Hello? I just took the quiz, and I am definitely not a Karen. I am too nice for being a Karen. I'm not.
Okay, there you have it.
I'm not. Thank you.
I thought there was going to be a fight. I was about to cue them.
I mean, I don't know what it means I am, but just kind of hurt.
And Jeff, I think I was being extremely nice until she called me a bitch, and I didn't even respond to it. Other than that, I would love to be a bitch.
Who called you now?
Y'all need to work on your relationship.
Did I miss something?
It'll take time.
If you doesn't talk like that for too long, then maybe one day you will become a Karen. So.
But it's a
Karen.
Grammar helps.
I'm pretty sure I'm not a Karen because I usually go in and I'm just like.
Who wants to be a bitch when you could be a cunt? I am currently holding a cunt TED Talk. Okay? So if anybody wants to be a cunt, I am going to teach that.
You can't have a country without a cunt.
You're the best.
You really said that with your chest.
And I played lacrosse for 7 years, and my mom was a lacrosse cunt, and we come from Cuntville. Don't fuck with us, people. Thank you, Helena.
It's better than this cross country.
I mean, we tried lacrosse. It was invented in Charleston, I heard. Discovered there. And it did take off for a minute. It's a different sport altogether. I actually have respect for lacrosse players more than I do for soccer.
It's one of the few purely Americans.
Well, of all the sports my kids did, lacrosse was my favorite to watch.
Girls and boys. Why do they have to make it so different? They need like a different stick. They need to wear a skirt.
It's a totally different sport.
I played field hockey. That was another fun sport. Field hockey.
Like softball,
Anybody play that? I played that when I was in the north.
I know Sunset
I dated a woman in college who played Real Top.
Fieldhouse is tough, man. They call flags on me all.
I think the test, it says I'm a Karen.
You are?
I am.
I can't nominate her, but Jeff,
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Oh,
I mean,
I thought I was a Karen.
I
but
do relinquish the title. I need to find something.
I thought a Karen by definition had to be. I thought a Karen by definition had to be white.
I thought so too, dude. That's why I'm really confused on my identity politics.
That's correct. Speaking of Karens, I'd like to welcome.
Maybe that's my Norwegian and Greek side.
Yeah. I'm a Cameron.
If she's Mexican and acts like a Karen, she's like spicy and ethnic. If she's African American, she's assertive. She's an angry black female, I believe. So they have their own racial.
Oh, the angry black woman. Yeah, don't mess with them, especially not in the South. Do not.
Well, I am mixed, so where am I placed at?
You're an abomination, and we can no longer apply racial standards to you. Ruin everything.
But you're never angry, Diamond.
Yeah.
You're never angry.
You're an
I
anomaly.
only get angry when it's necessary.
You never are angry with me.
Because I love you.
You're just like a baller. You're stuck in the middle.
No, this Diamond girl is stupid.
Hey, Diamond, how's Sarah?
You're a Karen with a C. French version of a Karen.
Sharon is Karen.
No, it's Karina with a Carine.
Sharon is a Karen? Great, more Karen.
Yeah, we need more Karens there, but it was like Karens with style, Karens that are just like grunt Karens.
Yeah, Karens wear the gaucho pants.
What is the collective noun for Karen? Complaint of Karen?
No, it's a coven of Karens.
I was thinking a flight of Karens. I think a complaint of Karens. Or a catch of Karens at the gym.
Okay, I just did it. I am not a Karen, but that one about the car, that was probably the most Karen thing that I put in that quiz. Was if you park your car in front of my driveway, I am probably going to put a nasty note on it. Yep.
Yeah, nah.
I think
that's your car now.
Okay, so I think we should start a rumor that there is a secret passive-aggressive war going on between Meryl Streep and Martha Stewart for queenship of the Karens. And, of course, it's all secretive and passive-aggressive, and we can't exactly...
I mean, Martha Stewart was in prison. She's not a Karen.
Oh, yeah. No. We like Rachel Ray. She's fine as fuck.
She's a baddie now. No, Martha Stewart is a baddie now. Like, she literally...
Snoop Dogg is her best friend.
Literally, they're...
I know she's got cred. She's cool.
She even has her picture on a bottle of wine.
DEFCON, I'm with you. Rachel Ray is cute as hell.
Yeah, she's cute.
Among Karens.
I need to warn all the men, the largest gathering of Karens in your city are all in one location. They're all in a collection. No. Well, that too. But those same women are the single ones. Are all on they're bitter, they're angry, and they're all on a Facebook page called "Are We Dating the Same Man?"
Yes,
and this
that's
is
true.
It's in every one of your cities, every one of you. You may have been posted in there and unaware, and then women talk shit about you, even if it's true or not, and they share their own bitter, angry stories. Thank you.
I've read that. I've heard about that. I really have heard about that.
It's very entertaining. I recommend all men go to that page. It's actually more entertaining than a
They
sitcom.
won't let you in unless you're a woman, so make a
they screen who you are.
I'm sure SpongeBob has one of those.
I had posted someone on there, and they anonymously gave feedback about them, right? Red flags everywhere, right? You know, that dude told me someone said they saw him on there, and I was like,
it always gets back to them.
Yeah, we always find out.
They always find out.
So I deleted everything. But yeah, it's
Because here's a little secret. One of your friends knows that about me, and she still wants to fuck me.
That's right.
correct. Y'all need to clean your act up, bitches.
So what is that webpage called? Is it called Karens of America or what?
No, it's
Sometimes
called,
it's
Are
called,
We
like,
Dating the Same Man?
Are we
And
dating?
then you fill in your website. No, it's a Facebook page.
It's a Facebook page. It's great. You need to go in for your city. It's not as funny if a lot of it is city specific.
Oh, I see.
And on Reddit, a lot of in each city, an enterprising woman will copy it on and post it on Reddit, and it's a very popular site on.
Chicago has 111,000 members.
Yeah, every city has one. I'm not joking about this.
You know what's funny is down here, the groups have like 1,000 or 2,000 members. That's it.
Well, there you go. Florida's the best. We have a national hotline, 2 numbers.
Maybe women just have lower standards for men in Florida, so they don't even bother to come.
No, I think in Florida, the expectation is you are dating the same guy.
Well, do you pick the group that is like for multiple counties around you, or do you pick the local? Like one, I never date a guy in Palm Bay.
Are you like what's your radius? Goodness, it can go up to like 500 miles.
500 miles.
I'm in Miami, bitch.
I hate to tell you, Jeff, but Jeff, I just found a group that has 18,000 for Miami Broward County. 18,000.
Oh shit!
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We only have 1.8 for our county.
Oh shit!
But then when you put
Miami Fort Lauderdale, here's one with 53,000. Dude, sorry, hate to break it.
But they gotta
I guess I have to look closer.
So what you're trying to say is there's a secret local Yelp of the dating pool.
Oh yeah,
That's exactly it. It's Yelp for men.
Right.
Wait, the guys have a site too?
probably not.
We do it for
Because
good money.
y'all don't even care if you're dating the same woman.
Yeah.
You're not. We just care who's paying the bills.
I've been on like 3 dates in the last year, so I'm good.
Well, they may have thought there were dates that you didn't think there were dates.
Right. These women will make up.
You went on a date to a wedding and you don't even realize it.
Right.
They used to dry prunes.
She actually invited me to the Friendsgiving, so I think I have sufficient evidence to push her back into the corner.
You say yes, Friendsgiving and not Loversgiving.
No, I said no.
No, okay.
No one should.
And I didn't even say I'm sorry I can't make it. I just said I won't be attending. I've gone cold.
Hey, Master. Yeah, tell him you got an STD. You got shit to do.
DEFCON cracks me up.
DEFCON's funny.
Yeah. I wonder if, maybe I shouldn't say this.
Go ahead. We say all kinds of shit. Do it. Go.
Don't hold back.
This is the filter.
No, we need a site for men because I'll tell you why. If guys want to marry a girl, they should know.
Would you get a girl from elementary school?
You know, we should start this the male version. Have we dated the same crazy bitch?
Wait, what does that have to do with
this? To be
this?
honest, your guys' site would look more like this. I'm about to go on a date with this chick. How good is she? Scale 1.
No. Wait. Have you ever seen the show The League? There's it's the EBDB, the Eskimo Brothers database.
Or you guys would be like, hey, I'm about to go on a date with this woman. Am I getting catfish? Post her picture. That's
No. Guys, what you do is you call it crazy eyes.
We call it onlymans.com.
Yeah, that's good.
I like that.
You need to be verified man.
He's creator.
verified man. Yeah,
so here's what you do. I'm breaking all girl code right here. but you either find a female friend that will go in your city's page, or you make an account. You are a female. Sorry, ladies, I'm not. I have read the most ridiculous shit. It is hilarious. The shit that gets posted. Let me see. Let me find some good ones.
Oh, and I've heard, because I do have some friends that have been featured in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
That oftentimes, like, one woman will talk some shit about someone, and then 3 women will come back and be like, I know him, he's great.
Right.
I dated him, he's great.
Right.
And then they start arguing with each other about how terrible Jason is.
Oh my God. So
here, let's see. They post their pictures too. They post your picture. They will. I mean, here's a poor dude right here, and they post. These women post anonymously, by the way. So there's no issue for the woman, right? And they post anonymously. And here's the latest one. And this has 289 comments, 115 reactions. Okay? So here it is. This poor guy, anybody dating my fiance, he asked me to marry him after 16 days of knowing him, got my name tattooed on the 14th day, never knew each other previously. He's been adamant about us merging lives and moving in together. It's hard not to ignore these red flags. NET. Initials are MP. And this poor dude's picture, there are 289. And most of the women are like, this is a really good dude. Why are you putting him on blast like this? Blah, blah, blah. And if you got engaged in 16 days, you are the girl, you are the red flag.
That man did nothing wrong.
That man did nothing wrong.
I want to know what she did to get him to tattoo her name on him. And then to repay that, she puts him on blast in front of the whole.
Women are horrible. I'm just out here to tell you.
You don't gotta tell us, Al.
Not our first date.
You just gotta convince. You gotta convince the rest of it. You gotta convince the rest of the women that they're filthy animals.
No. There should be consequences for these women, like law enforcement, tickets written, fines given. We need to have consequences for these dirty actions. You know, they can't play this anymore. Shut up.
Defamation, isn't it?
It's not. It's not okay.
I'm amazed that nobody.
Okay, I'm gonna end this live stream. If you want to join the next live stream, just click back on this YouTube profile.
No, there've been lots of
I'm gonna edit it here.
Well, they need to
Cut
keep
it.
going.
Yeah.
I mean, they tell these men personal, like, he's that picture and be like, he has 3 kids, he lives in Elkhorn. They'll just out this guy and they want all the dirt. And some of it you can tell, like when you see the comments and like, they're all great, he's a great guy, I work with him, blah, blah, blah. I'd have never dated him, but, and then there'll be some random, that guy, all he wants is sex and blah, blah. I mean, it's actually good entertainment, but it's also
that's a problem.
Well, right.
All we need is sex. We don't.
I told you. And listen, I told you, Jakob. These are groups of Karens. Okay.
Oh, no sex Karens.
Well, right.
Prudes. Are they the ones that shave their heads? These the women that shave their heads after Trump?
They could be.
No, those are.
These are what your children's Karens will look like.
No, these aren't even feminists.
They're a mixed bag, Jeff's right.
They're the next crop of women.
The poor B women.
They are the women who accidentally get shit all over the toilet in the women's bathroom, though.
I really feel bad for these dudes. Like, I just am scrolling and just picture after picture. These poor guys had the poor misfortune of just asking a woman out on a date. Now, some of them are scumbags. But listen, if you have to post it in a group like that, you already know. The woman who said, I got engaged after 16 days, I agree. You are the red flag.
The baby Jessica needs a Facebook page.
Yes, Jessica.
I can just steal pictures from Maya's Instagram and pass them off as Jessica.
Yeah. Hey, I don't live anywhere near Miami. I could be Jeff.
Go for it. I don't think you'll find me on there, though.
No. I'm saying you, if you needed steal some.
There you go.
Oh, I would date Jeff if he looked like you.
I had to. I'm having a Yakov problem right now parsing those words. I think I
You
understood
look like L.
I can't.
Come on, that was easy. Come on. Even L laughed. You got it.
If you say I can't in a really thick British accent, it'll sound like I can't.
I'm scrolling. I just feel bad for really most of these dudes. Like, their personal lives are just all out here. Like,
what's funny is
some of these pictures are their friends with them or their children. Like, it's just fucked.
What's funny is, like, based on how women talk about men, you would expect men to have a group like this.
Men are as petty as women, Jeff. We know that.
No,
you men are petty?
I don't know. Petty is a good description.
Men are not petty. Women are petty.
Correct. Yeah, correct. I think they
women are more.
Men are petty when it comes to their pride. That's true.
People only do as much as you let them do.
I just wanted to tell Jeff. I think it was Jeff that we were talking with before when we were talking about the recession appointments. I just found out that Clinton had 139, I think, recess appointments. Obama had 38 or so recess appointments. So I think that if Trump does get Matt gets whatever how you pronounce the name appointed, that wouldn't be that bad, So
I mean, a couple quick things. First of all, it's not a recession appointment; it's a recess appointment.
Recess. I said recess appointment.
No, you said recession every time.
Right now, I said recess.
Just now you did, but the rest of the time she said recession.
It doesn't matter.
And none of those 158 Clinton did were as unqualified as Matt Gaetz.
It doesn't matter, but he did it. So who is the judge? No,
it doesn't matter.
It's fine. So I guess that if he does get one,
there were plenty of people who did not agree with all of Obama's picks. Bush did it, by the way.
That's the reason why they do
There were lots of picks that were not popular at all, and that's why they did.
Correct. And I actually think that he is qualified. The fact that he is not liked doesn't mean he's not qualified.
Well, it doesn't really matter because they do have the option of, undoing it anyway. And DedSec, how many times? Oh, DedSec, never mind.
Bush did also 100 something.
Yeah, Franji girl, I love you. I love you so much.
Oh my God, go away, DedSec.
Bloody hell.
You say you're attracting mosquitoes.
Yeah, he always does that. Every single room he comes, and I always say the same thing. Go away, DedSec. And I move him to the audience.
It's so cute. Will they, won't they?
Yeah, I think it's going to be beautiful. And the Senate just needs to be in recess for 10 days. That's all it requires.
I mean, the real question, though, is Matt Gaetz, do his balls hang exceptionally low?
Do your balls hang low?
I love that dude. He has no issues. That's what we need to call out all the bullshit.
Can you throw them over your shoulder like a continental soldier? Do your balls hang
makes sense.
low?
Jason, the proverbial Karen in Mexico, what are they called?
A pendeja? I don't know.
A carita?
I mean, I don't hear the people, I don't hear my family or relatives or friends talk about Karens. They just call them pendeja. So.
Okay. Fair enough.
But I just wanted to add my new app for you singles out there. It's Nut or Rock. Is she only worth a nut, or is she going to be worth the rock?
Right.
Good one.
Who is hot sauce?
We're on the stage.
No, I'm catching up with the chat.
Good. So I was just reading on X, someone still saying that even regardless of this election's result, that they personally would like to do away with this person lives in DC, by the way, would like to do away with the Electoral College and is asking for opinions. My personal opinion is, at that point, that's great if that's what those states choose, which is now a handful. Blue states, if that's what you choose, then there would be really no real benefit to the rest of the republic to be a part of this collection of states in which there would be no representation. And at that point, I think a dissolution is probably what will...
Just the balkanization of the United States.
Right.
Hey, balkanization again. I like the way you say it.
Right.
Balkanization?
Oh, yeah.
Slower. Harder. Slower.
Oh, no. I never know which ones are the trigger words.
Apparently balkanization.
Balkanization, yeah.
Oh. Issa's determined to turn this into a political room, even though we're talking about balls.
We were, talking about...
Where are you guys talking about balls? I'm just doing the Karen test right now.
Oh, Issa, I was telling them all that there's they all know about it, but that there's a page in all of their cities, a Facebook private group called Are We Dating the Same Man or Guy? And all of these Karen-type women go and bitch about their men, even sometimes about their husbands, put their personal... And all of these women have the ability to post anonymously, by the way. They post pictures and all of the dirty details. Many women comment. They tell the guy. It's none of that stays private, and it's very easy
Sounds like
for these guys to tell. Yeah.
Actually, I feel a little bit dirty, because I did a little bit of same when I broke up with Thomas, but I feel like I was almost forced a little bit into it, but...
Oh, no.
Into what? Balls? I'm sorry, I saw that.
Forced balls. Yeah, forced balls for sure.
You get balls all over your face? Wow.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. But, oh my God, that's horrible. I mean, you cannot just... go and talk like that. I mean, all the dirty laundry from your husband. That's nasty.
Very nasty.
Yeah, husband, I don't agree with that because in a marriage.
Also makes you look bad as well.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got to post it in a Facebook group with thousands of women in your same city, you already know the answer.
And actually, for example, when I got into this little drama, with the whole Thomas thing, I actually felt bad afterwards, but not because of him, but because of me. Because it's oh my God, I am embarrassed that I allowed a piece of shit like that to treat me like that. So it actually doesn't talk much about the value that they have, but the value that you allowed yourself to give yourself,
That's right.
By not putting someone in their place. Yep. So, I think it's...
Can you give us an example?
You mean...
no, I don't think so.
Right.
You mean the opinion you have of yourself?
Who's asking? Whose voice is that?
Yeah.
That was Tomas.
Who wants to know?
That was Karen with the C.
Oh, it's not Obama?
Narutama.
Yeah, we had Karen with C's and Karens that, like to do knitting with balls and stuff.
Yeah.
You missed all that.
I'm just looking at that fucking hair on that woman and I just want to smack her. I'm sorry. I remember that shit. That woman on that TV show. Oh my God.
Holy crap.
The former husband, he looks happier as a motherfucker. I'm just going to put it.
Fucking Scott. I guarantee you Scott is the one blocking me out of this fucking room. How the fuck?
No.
Fucking Scotty. Bet you it's fucking
Someone
Scotty.
actually created a website.
It says, do you argue with strangers? Does that count on Clubhouse?
Does
Like
that mean we
strangers?
all have to answer yes?
No, it's not about that.
It would be like in real life.
In real
strangers,
life.
right?
Yeah.
Real practice, folks.
Oh, no.
Real practice.
I was probably just one time in an argument with a stranger in my life.
This is Web3, folks.
It was I was going on the train and it was during the mask mandate and I had my mask under my nose and this lady was like, "Oh, use your mask over your nose, you're trying to kill us all." And I was like, if you're so afraid, why don't you stay home? You know? And she continued calling me a bitch, so I just took off the mask.
I would have said 6 feet, bitch.
This Issa is my favorite Issa.
So yeah, and then that was it.
I would say 6 feet, especially by you, 12.
I got into a fight at Hobby Lobby during COVID. Hobby Lobby, for those who don't have a Hobby Lobby, it was like Christmas.
What is a Hobby Lobby?
It's like Christmas threw up in there, so I was there.
Hobby Lobby. I can hear that. Welcome to Hobby Lobby. How are you doing today? Oh wow, that's great.
It was packed, Seth. No less, packed. Okay, packed. People are definitely afraid of COVID.
I can feel the vibe.
I can hear you.
So this place is packed. It's near Christmas, but it's that Christmas like COVID's hot and heavy. Okay, but the place is fucking packed. People getting their trees, their ornaments, their wrapping paper, their bullshit they're making to gift to, their friends that don't want this shit. Nobody wants it. Anyway, so the aisles are packed and they've got the fucking arrows and, there's a dude walking around not masked, okay? And he's just zipping in and out, picking up this, that. He's probably like, get me the hell out of here, because mostly all women. Many pounds overweight, and I said what I said. I'm not going to apologize. And fat broad's walking towards us. And this guy's going the wrong way with the arrows. Wrong way, no mask. She's like, for God's sakes, could you at least put on a fucking mask? And he's like, no, I can't. And he walks on by and she's like, I'm calling the manager. And I said, oh no, not the manager. This guy and I start howling, laughing, like, not the manager. And she's like, you fucking assholes are trying to get everybody sick. I'm like, you look really scared. Why are you here? Like, are you really that scared? Why are you in the packed store for shit you don't need?
Right. With a mask that even Fauci admitted doesn't work.
Is that place like Chick-fil-A? Is that place like Chick-fil-A? Isn't run by like devout? It's closed on Sundays. Closed on Sunday. Yeah.
Are the liberals in our city were protesting the opening of Hobby Lobby? They would talk about Karens. Karens in front of Hobby Lobby was hilarious. I mean, Hobby Lobby sounds like a Karen kind of word.
Do they fucking wear that hair?
I'm in front of one. Oh my God! Hobby Lobby is where all the Karens go. For sure. It used to be like Model Airplane. There used to be a mail order cattle company called Hobby Lobby. I used to buy all sorts of stuff in the 90s and early 2000s. And then there was a store, and I went running in. I'm like, what the? There's a lot of mooing in there. Cattle's fit.
They have like one Hanukkah thing last year and decided to get rid of it because people were pissed off or something.
Well,
I guess it is your Christmas store, and they just put that in for fucking,
Well, it's got like, you can do framing.
There's a snowman in front of it. There's Christmas trees in front of it right now.
Yeah.
There's Christmas in front of it.
I think we're burying the lead, though. Issa, did you finish your Karen quiz?
Yeah, but I didn't agree with the answer.
I didn't agree with
I
my
mean, it says that I am not a Karen, but it says also that people around me say that I am very kind-hearted and a helpful person. I don't think I am sweet, Your positive aura attracts people to you. I don't know. I think this is way too... No.
Yeah, mine was kind of bullshit, too. You don't like to make waves. I'm like...
Because you're never complaining about anything, but ignore all the flaws. I do not ignore flaws. I see the flaws, but I mean,
your last boyfriend was a white nationalist. I think you do ignore flaws.
Yeah, no, but I didn't. Well, I was aware of all of that. You know, I just felt
you have to be aware.
stubborn.
You have to be aware in order to ignore them.
Yeah, it was so stupid. I wish I could erase that, you know, from my record because it's a stain.
But do you fell for his look? You didn't like.
No, definitely not.
No, I haven't seen this guy.
Diamond, are you an objectivist, Karen? Is that?
I think. I think it was his voice. He's got a very nice voice.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, I know sapiosexuals fall in love with people's mind, but what is this?
No, sapiosexual. He's not very
but what is it
intelligent.
when you fall in love with the voice? Is there a word for that?
It was just his voice. I don't know, and he was sweet with me. You know?
Faxiosexual.
It's called
And he also love bombed me. Love bombed me at first.
Wait, what does that mean? What's love bomb? Jeff, you're gonna be.
Bomb.
Love bombing is when you get. I mean, like everything.
No,
is like
everybody knows what love bombing is, but you're pronouncing it funny, so no one knows what you're saying.
Love bombing.
Love bombing.
You sound like bumping. You sound
love
like
bombing.
Love bumping. That sounds like you know what.
Actually, it does.
Is that like pug thumping?
Love bumping.
Love bumping.
Write that down for a title of your room, Jeff. Love bumping sounds good.
Love bumping.
By the way, someone who's attracted to someone else's voice is defined as an oralist.
No way, that's
oralist.
Oh, an oralist.
No,
so that's definitely not rappy. That's not rappy. He doesn't even
really sounds like something else. Spelled A-U-R-A, not O-R-A-L.
Oh. I am in love with Luther. I'm in love with Luther on the app. Does it make me gay?
Dirty-minded people spanking.
Yes, it makes you gay.
But doesn't he have a great voice, Jeff?
Yeah.
Have a great voice. Luther.
I don't know who Luther.
Oh my God, he's the Love Hard Network.
Oh God, he came in. Oh.
Who is Luther?
Who has a great voice
He
on
makes
this app?
Barry Manilow sound like a soprano.
He knows Slide. Slide is.
Oh, Yaakov, honey.
Is that the guy that was pretending to kill himself today?
Oh, was he?
T-Money.
that was T-Money.
T-Money is a troll. He is always pretending he's on suicide watch and that he's depressed. And I saw you fell for it and you went into his room. He's sick. Dude, don't fall for it.
I didn't
Fuck
know,
that guy.
and I suffer from depression, so I thought I would try to help him. So.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. He's been doing that for
I
ages.
have no idea. It was the first time I
No, but that's the reason why I'm telling you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Only because you're sweet and you're empathetic, and so don't fall for it.
No, I didn't see you or you saw me in the room from the hallway.
No, I entered the room and he invited me on stage, but I didn't come up because he gets on my nerves.
Yeah, he's not depressed. He's not going to commit suicide. I know him. He is very financially stable. This is like a game.
That dick.
He's a troll. He was an addict. Is that true?
That's wrong. Yes, like he sounds very druggy.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just don't respond to him anymore. I told him to get his act together and stop acting like an idiot on the app. And if he continues to do it, fine, do it. Who am I to say, go? It's his enjoyment in life. So go ahead.
Oh, my poor mom. I was going to text.
Join via browser. And that should lead you to the first slide of my presentation. I highly encourage you to do this.
On the pre-2005 status of Gaza, and there are other UK-fied videos that address the status of the territory. Since 2005, when Israel unilaterally withdrew from the Gaza Strip, there is no rational argument that it has been in control of the Strip or in the region. And Hamas's effective control, its ability to build a terror army, abusing civilians and taking over civilian infrastructure for its terror bases over 16 years, shows how ridiculous the claim is that anyone but Hamas has been in control of Gaza since its violent takeover of the Strip in 2007. And even since the start of this war, after the attacks and the atrocities of the 7th of October,
is developing. They're in a good state. Third world is they was originally called underdeveloped, right? And that suggests the reason that didn't work was underdeveloped didn't work because underdeveloped from what? Are we actually that developed? Because we've got our own problems, right? So underdeveloped really didn't work. Developing nations, which also so it's kind of like second was developing, and then third was underdeveloped. Fourth was, I can't remember what fourth was, but fifth was basket cases. Like, they're fucked. Like, there's no way they can keep up. They cannot live without foreign aid. They've got to have, food pumped back into the country. They have to have, whatever, military coups, whatever. And so Haiti, for instance, was a fifth world country, right? And so, again, these are anti-term terms. I'm not... back in, Darfur, whatever, areas of certain countries, you could almost say, well, that's pretty bad. But, India, for instance, was often considered a third world country. And India would definitely now be put in the second world or even first world category. Right. Just like the U.S. has actually gone down, where we are first world, right? But because of the complexities of the U.S. Sociology, we got plenty of, third world shit going on in this country. Probably some basket case situations even where you've got urban environments and things and where things are so rough that the cops can't even go in and fix things. Not that, or the cops go in and make things worse. Anyway, but I digress into how did that come up? Because of flat Earth. See, flat Earth brings up important discussions. They're geniuses and sadists. They are full on. What's it called? Not academic. It's not really academic.
No, I was completely...
The conspiracy say that...
I made their day being who I was and trying to argue in all of the normal scientific way, and even bringing up things like Michelson-Morley and Foucault's pendulum and, weather patterns and what we've seen from satellites and the fact that satellites work at all and go around the Earth. And they didn't buy at all my notion, which I know is true, that I don't know the exact number, but every hour, if you look at how the Earth is revolving around the sun and how the sun is revolving around, in the Milky Way and how the Milky Way is revolving around a larger supercluster, we're actually moving 240,000 miles every hour. If you could really measure it, absolutely. They thought that was absurd.
But Jordan, I think from talking to my friend Kavi, he went in there, which he thinks a significant number of them, he went in there to purposely devastate the idea of flat Earth and ended up leaving it could happen. I mean, and so I think it's important to realize that I think you probably went through the same process, or they try to engineer the same process of decimating your argument because they went through that themselves and had to channel a lot of their energy of wanting to accept the pressure to accept the norm of the round Earth and hell, I don't know.
They have a lot of details to make it look like you're an idiot because you don't have answers to their specific questions. And it's simple things like, what personal proof do you have from your experience that the Earth is moving? And it's like, well, I understand Foucault's pendulum and why it works, and I've seen weather patterns, and I've seen the Earth spinning from satellites taken from outside the Earth, and we've kind of figured this out in around 12 or 1300. It's called the Copernican revolution.
once we put the Earth in the, not in the center, then we were able to there's science. I just sort of started saying science. I actually believe in real science. There are many reasons why we know that the Earth is a spheroid and not flat or plane.
Well, now wait, I'm curious if you have some question about the early videotapes from the moon landing and think the possibility they might be fake.
No, I don't have any question on that one. But I do believe Building 40 fell because it had explosive devices implanted.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you got to pick your conspiracy. Do I think that that the Trump and Butler was fake? Probably, or there was something wasn't right about that. That was too crazy.
I would like to add something neurological and psychological to the flat Earth thing, if you would mind.
Oh, please.
I'll let you talk.
No, we want to hear.
Okay, so this is a neuropsychological theory that I've come up with, and it's also philosophical, so it's quite a crossover in regard to the flat Earth theory. So it is of my opinion that our minds function in a really interesting way of how we attach to allegory. And I believe that the flat Earth thing actually has an allegorical effect on our consciousness. And that the level of how allegory takes grip on our consciousness makes us confuse that allegorical impulse, whatever you want to call it, the allegorical perception. We confuse that with reality. And so I feel like the flat Earth is very allegorical to our limitation. So as a human being on the planet Earth, we only clearly, literally have so much perspective from our gaze looking out onto the horizon. You can only see, for all intents and purposes, what appears to be a flat horizon. So, I believe that the flat Earth thing is it's so allegorical, but it's not obviously something literally written in the Bible. But I mean, we do have some things that might point to it. But yeah, just the fact that we are so infected and afflicted by allegory in our consciousness, it just keeps coming up, and some of us start to get converted to believing in it and things like that, and it's fascinating to me. That's all I wanted to say for this one.
Well, that's great. So on some level, it's the plain truth. And that's why they're now saying it's plainer, not flat. You actually experience this as the plain truth, which is obviously a pun, but it's a pun that serves and clarifies meaning.
No, I see the value in this for the primate mind on a certain scale, but I think as we moved away from that way of thinking over the last, let's say, 50,000 years, as we came out of the last ice age, I think the forms of observation started to come up, which are shown in the stone monoliths. Those are the ones that survived and have been found. But all over the planet, indigenous people everywhere, almost all became aware of these different cycles of the moon and the sun and things. And I think most of them in their heads actually did think of it as I don't think it took Copernicus or whatever, Galileo or Galileo's daughter, or any of those folks to actually put the model in people's heads. I think enough people on their own just figured it out that we were on a spheroid and that the sun and the moon went around that. And that the planets were different than the stars because they moved around. They were the visible planets, right? So you've got this basic cosmology that I personally think that maybe that cows and the great apes and the chimpanzees don't have the ability to do. But at some point in the last 50,000 years, way before science, as we know it, and writing and things like that, people started to figure this shit out. Things like sundials, understanding moon cycles, keeping track of that stuff to a certain degree. Not even keeping track of it, just having it in your head. And to me, this idea that we don't have proof beyond what I'm talking about, I actually disagree on a fundamental level because I'm going to bring psychedelics into it. When I've done certain combinations and larger doses of things, these things become very real. The feeling of knowing that gravity is there and that gravity is based partially on the planet being a sphere, and that you could feel ourselves moving through space at great speeds. I don't know exactly how fast. The tachometer doesn't quite work. Well, sometimes it does, but it's hard to read because there's so many different dials and instruments and gauges. And so the most recent one, I would just say, if you believe the Earth is flat, go in with, I would say, start with cannabis if you enjoy it. You don't have to get too high, and then do a pretty good solid amount of ketamine, and then some nitrous oxide. And those three, you can throw DMT in there if you want to. That will definitely guarantee it. But you will know that the Earth is a sphere. You will know. You will be able to feel your relationship with it moving through space. It's there. You will know where the moon is and the sun is from your state. Because the body becomes an instrument that is far more sensitive than these flat earthers realize, because they are just numbed by stupidity.
Can you stop there with your thoughts? I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, I was done. So
what if we use the Dr. John Lilly maxim that's so often quoted? What one believes to be true either is true or becomes true within certain limits, and the rest of it, these limits are to be transcended.
And that's what God said.
But how much could that be a programming that goes on and it affects the basis because it's a program that's in you that process occurs at an accelerated rate where you get your belief system through the use of the chemicals that you described validated.
Again, yeah, so it is my belief, yes. I mean, that's all we've got to work on also, right? But my belief in this case, which also includes entities and other things like that, I mean, the fact that people are pretty comfortable with other people believing in God or gods and all that stuff, or that, stock, that they believe if they, put money into a certain stock that they're going to make money on it. I mean, people believe everything. And so, again, it's how our minds are built, is around belief and knowing things, having this sort of confidence, I suppose. It could be an arrogance. And that's why that flat earth feels more like an arrogance. And it feels like they are there to fuck with us. But my epistemology, on a personal level, I'm not going to push it on anyone else. And that's why I hasten to be kind of like, oh yeah, take my protocol. That's why I'm not a psychedelic coach. Because I'll drive that train right over the cliff.
Yeah, no, you'd be the wrong coach. You'd be the heroic coach. So I have a footnote. The footnote is that Pythagoras, around 500 BC, first proposed that the Earth was round, and pretty shortly after that, most Greeks believed the Earth was round. And then around 250 BC, Eratosthenes actually calculated the circumference of the Earth pretty closely. So this was not an uncommon idea in the ancient world that the Earth was round.
Yeah, and those folks had writing, which could, they could kind of develop these ideas. But and again, I'm pro-Greek. Like, I love the Greek philosophy and the thought and the process of what they were doing. But remember that most of their information was also coming from a very rich libraries, literally physical libraries, that were libraries. Like Alexander being one of the famous ones. There were many libraries, and most of them were destroyed.
But also, there were. I mean, that was the age. There were amazing people, and Pythagoras, by all accounts, was one of the most blown minds of all time.
Right, but most
I was
people were
writing about Pythagoras this morning. I love.
Yeah, I actually went to his island and walked his paths long ago. And yeah, he's definitely a hero to me. But I'm just saying that I think that these people, they had access to very rich knowledge from other places also, and that so that the Greeks were actually. I'm not trying to discredit them saying they stole information. I don't really believe in theft, because I think information can't be owned anyway. Right. And so that the idea is that what they ended up building that we, in a way, are benefiting from in the Western world, getting ahead as far as we did, as the Eastern thought was doing what it was, but the whatever it's called, the North African, the Fertile Crescent, the Egyptians, and everything around that area, the level of thought was so high end. Like, people were there was a higher amount of literacy, and people were starting to write things down. The libraries did exist, and the Greeks had access to it. And then they built these amazing, and their stuff is retained.
So I have a question for the minds on the stage, or anybody else that wants to come up. I tried to find metaphors and quotes to sort of be able to convey what I've experienced in the Sweat Lodge over several decades. And one of them, I think, was attributed to Pythagoras. And I think the quote is, a stone is a frozen song. Now, that takes a pretty big jump, but I think it does support the indigenous view of animism. And it seems effective to me to use arguments that are more Western oriented in order to translate the sort of, because it's not a written, at least amongst the Lakota, it's not a written cosmology, and to find ways of expressing the profundity of and privilege to be around, shaking my thoughts up to find a different belief system and a way of expressing it to other people. And so I wonder about flat Earth in this sense. I think it's good to be challenged and to have to see whether your brain can adjust to a new way of thinking, just as a way of making it more, almost forcing it to be more neuroplastic. So if that stirs anybody, I'd like to hear a response.
I mean, I like that minus the sadism. So I think there's elements of like just intellectual thought of being like, let's play with this idea. What if, how could we turn the Earth flat, in our minds? Because most of us don't think of it like that. I can see that, but it still doesn't take away the.
But to play with it as a process of sort of forcing your brain to find a place in you that corresponds with, okay, if I accept that just for a few minutes, what else happens? I mean, can you encourage that as a process of change in other ways of culture, so that plasticity gets put on other ideas as well and makes it more fluid?
John, this is like when you're doing role playing with someone you're in an argument with, and you actually do your very best to play them and come from their perspective. That's hard to do without a facilitator, but there are times when doing that can really break things wide open.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the hard thing here would be to sort of accept the neurology of the people or goddesses, notion of how they're getting it on this allegorical level and what that means to them, while also knowing that, science is real and there are certain things that we actually know, and the fact that the Earth is moving through space and more or less, spherish is really not in debate. I mean, these are the kind of people that made Carl Sagan cringe. There's just no real believing in that, and yet they do. So
I love how you say science is real.
Yeah, it comes from those signs.
Science is science, and science uses hypothesis and theorems and not belief. So this is what's important. This is what separates the scientist from the layman. And if people run around all over the world believing the science or following the science, so to speak, without actually employing scientific method, they can be victims of scientific fraud. So this is something that we must always keep in the forefront of our minds, because we live in a world that is predominantly subintegral. And with that, you will have high factors of dishonesty and fraud.
Or scientism, as Charlie Tart likes to call it. So, when looking at, for example, microdosing and the importance of having double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized studies as the gold standard of proof, we would never call that scientism, but there are people who, will reflexively declare that it has to be that way and aren't open to any discussion about anything else counting as proof for what's real. So, you take your, take your science where you find it. In some areas, you kind of need to fight with it. In other areas, you need to make sure you're not falling for stuff. I mean, I've had another one where now they're getting this ultrasound treatment, the soft technology for my terribly painful and numb COVID toes and feet, and it's actually working. It's interesting to deal with how much of that is science and how much of that is placebo, and when I told the Stanford cardiologist professor friend of mine from the synagogue about it, he scoffed at me and said, it can't possibly be real, and it's probably just a coincidence that after 4 years, my feet and toes started getting a lot better right when I started the treatment. I mean, he really wants to believe that that's true, when it's obvious to me that...
He obviously doesn't really think that the pyramids were created with sound.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. The pyramids are created with what?
Sound.
Do you think they were?
Yes. And much stone carving and movement was done with sonic waves.
How did they generate enough sonic acoustic force? I mean, it's compressed air. How did they generate enough power to have that work?
They use the spice.
Yeah, they could have. I really can't tell you how. It could have been a very large amount of people actually using their voices a certain way together. But I could be totally wrong. Or it could have been a device that people use their voices through in unison that amplified their voice. And if you use the voice at certain tones, you might be able to achieve this. I'm not sure. But this theory has come up a lot, and I'm not saying that this is exactly what it is. I also wanted to point at the term scientism for a moment, but I just wanted to say that, give you some immediate feedback, Jordan. I've never heard that term.
Yeah, it's Charles Tart. Do you know who Charlie Tart is? He's a professor of psychology and has written some of the best books ever on parapsychology. He wrote a book called Psi. Yeah, Psi. I remember reading it in 1980, home from college. I read the book in one day while I was tripping, and it was really great. He's very scientific. He's like a radio engineer and a ham radio guy, but he's also an Aikido guy. And I got to interview him a couple of times. Charles is a very, very nice man, and I'm glad he's alive and still doing his thing.
Wouldn't you put him in the category of consciousness researcher as well, or am I going too far?
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. No, he didn't necessarily think his parapsychology stuff was his most important stuff. He wrote, it's a book with a blue cover, and I know I've got it right around here, but it's, he was a big Gurdjieff guy too, and I think his book was called Waking Up, his big book.
That's right.
Yeah, and no, he's been all over the psycho-spiritual map, and is it's just he just writes so clearly, and because he was a radio engineering geek, he would use kind of like simple formulas in describing how parapsychology might be happening and that sort of thing. I found his writing very satisfying when I was 20 years old. I think he's a great guy.
Well, there's a tendency to want to believe that kind of stuff, and I find things like alternative views of how the pyramids were built, because I tend to think there's probably a lot of noise involved people telling people what to do, and I find that the idea that we need this need it seems that people have to create some alternative sort of fantastical forces that do things rather than things just having, like the pyramids. I like to think the pyramids could have simply been built by people, and that although fairly unimaginative shape, that the geometry is fairly simple, and that the doing it was probably based around having slaves and an entire social structure, and that for some reason turning it into like some kind of like super technology type of thing or alternative thing or aliens or whatever built the pyramids, to me takes away like the human element of that people can do something that amazing, which I would also put 9/11 in that category too, for people who don't think 9/11 was done by people in airplanes that hijacked them for whatever reason. But if people don't think that happened, that's really taking away the ability for a small group of people to do something really powerful, which to me is unfortunate.
But you use the word slave, and aren't you making an assumption that the culture couldn't be one of reverence and service? I think they've even examined.
I'm okay with
that. They were eating well and
they were into
care of.
Yeah, Yeah, well, yeah, well, we're talking grain-based societies, which means there was beer, right? And so the indigenous people who came to that, they were making meat at the time probably, but they didn't have access to beer. So I would say beer and bread. And the conditions were probably, it's hard to say.
Just yesterday, I was watching a Facebook video, and it was all about the use of ropes and pulleys and science for how the Egyptians constructed the pyramids. And so they seem to have a pretty convincing theory. And, applying Occam's razor, that might be easier to believe than the idea that it was done by sound. But I certainly don't rule that out because my life is being changed by sound. And, some people view light as being the first thing, and others view sound and vibration in its own right as being the way reality was created or co-created. So, yeah, I'm down with this possibility. Good morning, Daniel.
Hey, good morning. I just was joining the riffing. So from just the science part, there's a lot of science that, when you get science people together that are real science people, they're pretty cool and open-minded, and there's some that are pretty pedantic and anal retentive. So it depends, and I see all types, and there's a big world out there with a lot of new things. And I've been to a few conferences this year, and I've had my socks blown off and learned about stuff that I never heard about that actually works. So in as far as technology, I have two technologies that I use that a lot of people don't know about. One is red light therapy, which is pretty common, and I'm sure you all know about that, and just invested a couple $1,000s in a home system, and I'll probably bring it to my office also. And also with Jerry Tennant's biotransducer and biomodulator, which is, all body electric and all that, where, they treat the technologically the body. And when I broke my leg, I used magnets to heal it faster way back in the day, which is really common in sports medicine. And you tell most doctors that, they would say, well, what is that? That doesn't work, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of things we don't know about. And, I'm a science person, and I have an open mind, and there are some things that are don't pan out in science, and that's also good to publish. So that would be what I would add.
Dr. Daniel, since you're kind of on the forefront of getting out there to these conferences, and you said, okay, your mind has been blown, do you think it's possible that some of the new things that you've learned, that you now believe, or that you sort of see proof in it or whatever, do you think some of those maybe have just been explained in a way where where it isn't true? I just feel like when I look at alternative therapies and all sorts of different things that I've been somewhat aware of for, the last 30 years, a huge percentage of this stuff to me still just doesn't pan out. It just seems like it's kind of a waste of time, or certainly money for people who are paying for expensive supplements or pills or certain types of procedures and things like that. And yet, so really, it's like which ones work and which ones don't. And maybe how much placebo effect is involved here, where people thinking something works. But since you're a scientist and also sort of practicing healing, I'm just kind of curious, if we can go beyond the people believing something, and that does also work, right? But some of these new things that you're saying are blowing your mind. I mean, I'm curious. Well, I'm curious what they are, because I keep, I can't even look at YouTube because it knows what I hate, and it just throws all this stuff at me involving, all these disturbing things. It's a little like being attacked by flat earthers.
You mean the algorithm throws that at you?
Yeah, it just knows. I don't know. I think it's because a lot of my friends will suggest I look at stuff, and so then I'll look at it. I'm like, oh God, it's more of that. And it's just like this word salad from these people that are making it, millions of followers, and they sell. I don't even know what they sell. God.
Yeah, that has a high ick level. Yeah, I get that stuff too. And there's also specious science. And I'm more of a pragmatist. So if and if I can take advantage of placebo effect versus nocebo, I would do that any day. But the thing is that there are very brilliant people out there with ideas that and if you go to science meetings, a lot of them talk about all these things we're talking about, and like for instance with Jordan and his feet, he found something that's working, and I know there's a lot of science there that says it works. So that would be great, and there's microcurrent treatments that work, and acupuncture works, and and the list goes on. So I'm not going to claim being the ultimate science person, but what I would do is that a lot of times when I hear people talk, I can know when the science is good and not good, and I don't get my science from TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, except in a couple of closed Facebook groups where I'm in, and there's very talented people that do things that if you like RFK talks about things, and some of the things he says are very brilliant, and there's truth to him. And I was listening to cable news last night, and they were denigrating him for some of his thoughts, and some of the science he's reporting on is real science, and he's there are some people that need to walk around the world to survive that have to have tin hats to block the EMF. So I've been in medicine and being an alternative doctor, some people get really turned off, but I would tell you that, and particularly with psychedelics and other things, when people are desperate, they make really poor decisions, and they can get people that are selling things that are unproven. And I've been on stage with a lot of people that are talking nonsense. I'm more of a anatomy, physiology, and things using executive function, and you can kind of tell when someone is really showing you great science, and there are amazing things that will blow your mind out in the science world. And there's some new discoveries even being made with the assistance of AI. So a lot of things are coming out, and put on your seatbelts or take them off, because the science world is exploding, and there's all these new solutions that take a long time to translate to the bedside where I work. And this week I'm like hanging out. I'm teaching young doctors at a teaching Stanford Associated Hospital. I'm the CCU attending, and I'm not indoctrinating them, but I'm mentoring them into looking at science instead of looking at guidelines and dogma, which unfortunately modern medicine has taken away a lot of the thinking part of it, which all of us in medicine enjoy, and put it into an algorithm, which has a high ick value and isn't that great. Did I answer the question?
I love what you say. Yeah, beautiful. I want to ask about a specific one. Have you heard of Electrons Plus, or I'm not sure what its form? It's a type of body work where the practitioner stands on a mat, and when they touch the person, it basically lights them up where they're touching them.
Well, is it
it's like TENS, but more less of a shock and more of like a vibration, I guess. I haven't had it done, but Leah had it done to her a few times, and she thinks it's as a body worker and a health person, she's more blown away by it than any therapy she's ever had.
So I don't know about it, but in theory, it sounds really intriguing. What you explain makes me want to find out more. Yeah. So Electrons Plus is. I know it sounds so generic, but that's the machine that she was connected to. But there's at least 2 different companies making them. They're very expensive, like $30,000, which actually for medical equipment doesn't get that high. But I was thinking Jordan and others who are looking for therapy and stuff, or already have whatever access to this kind of thing, look around and try it, because I trust Leah's evaluation of this kind of thing. And she's so impressed with it that she's actually trying to get a group of other body workers to get one together. So she would be part of it. And she's actually planning to keep it here for us to play with. So, yeah, so anyone local here in the area, connect with us, because we're seriously thinking about getting one of those things on board, because it really, along the lines of using electricity and body work at the same time. And for those of you that want to just play around with it, especially with a lever, I would highly recommend playing around with a TENS device, $20 device. You can hook a bunch of different electrodes onto each other, and then the way you touch each other, it's fucking amazing. I don't know, it's really funny. What is a lever? I don't know, friend, whatever, someone that you want. You don't have to, put anything inside them or whatever. It's more about, there is some touch though. If you contact, but the funny thing is you put these pads on you and then you touch each, and again, this is the TENS device, the trans electronic, whatever, TENS device. And they're very inexpensive. And if you've not played with one of those, when you first put it on, whatever part of your body you want to attach it to, I highly recommend don't start with thinking sex. That's more advanced. Yeah. Probably not for most people, but. Yeah. I love that question, though. We should all answer that. I used to have a medical cold laser, and back in the day, I went to a yoga institute called an ashram for many years, and the head guy, the yogi, who comes from a Shaktipat transmission lineage, he used to love for me to put, or my ex-wife to put the laser right in his Muladhara, and he would take it he would, we had to limit it. He would just love getting that energy put into his system in his Sushumna via the Muladhara, and he loved it. And so there's things we just don't understand.
That sounds so good. And I am an advanced yogi, by the way. I don't know if anyone knows that about me, but I am not about contortion. Of course, I am very flexible, but I understand that the main basis of yoga is these channels. The Sushumna that Daniel just mentioned is the central of the 3 channels. And that's where all the gravy is.
So have you had a Kundalini awakening,
Yes,
guys?
sir. Oh, yeah.
Yay. Tell us about it.
It happened organically back in 2002, and I had no idea what I was experiencing at the time. I thought that I had merged with God and that it was time for me to leave the planet. I was like, this is not, this is over. This is check, done, finished. Like, there's no human being that should sustain this level of power and data. This is not what people are supposed to be entitled to, and now it's time for me to die. That's how it felt.
So I'm presuming because you're here that you've had a chance to kind of spread the energy out, integrate it, and sort of come down a little bit to be able to communicate your experience in the form of love and teaching?
Correct, but I'm fierce. So people think I'm angry sometimes, or they think that I'm a hypocrite, or etc., etc. I still have to work on what the Buddhists call upaya every day, the skillful means to
Certainly.
Convert people to the Dharma, essentially.
You know, I was knew pretty well and trained with this lady in Boulder for a couple of years, and she was the one that became the teacher of the Hollywood star that was, I think, acknowledged as being a tulku. I can't remember his name. He was an action figure, so I mean, it was particularly ironic.
Steven Seagal.
Yes. She was his teacher, and I was in group with her once, and I saw her transform into a wrathful deity. I mean, with no negativity involved, just fierce power. I mean, she said I could almost see her I can see it now. She was sitting cross-legged in the group, and this wrathful part of her came out with such force. It was like having somebody throw a whole pitcher of ice water in your face. It was so wow. And there was no negativity or bad energy or maleficence or anything about it. And I just thought, wow, I've experienced something I've never seen before. Is that kind of what you're talking about? Is that level of energy and power that isn't is neither positive nor negative, but just almost naked power?
Correct. And great that you used the word naked, because being that I'm in New York City, and New York has a reputation for being a bit unhinged, I guess is the best way to describe it, and just like also jacked up with a lot of anxiety and very like raw passion, energy. They want me to teach yoga naked here. There's a huge push from the community, mostly males, of course, to teach naked yoga. So I'm probably even going to do that. But the thing is, it's important for me to draw people into the idea of reforming yoga but I'm actually really grateful to be in this conversation, because we brought up Pythagoras and we brought up the Greek classics. And I find that the Greek classics is an excellent way to reformat yoga. And this might be the whole reason why the library is burned, actually. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it might spark something. So I'm trying to be very, very careful about the way I approach this and present this to people. So I'm right now writing a book on engineering human accessible spaces to be able to sustain the experience of samadhi and enlightenment, the higher levels of yoga, or the final stages of yoga. And I've been using the Greek classics to describe yoga as something not, because yoga we have this huge impression that it's a stretching practice, and this is because of the repetition in the presentation, the repetition's frequency in the presentation of the physical asana, yogasana practice being called yoga. And so I'm calling it, with the Greek words, apotheosis, path working. This is kind of more where yoga is going. But we mostly just end up in this plateau of, look at me, I'm so good at yoga. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that show. It was a show that made fun of yoga teachers.
What do you mean by apotheosis?
Apotheosis is elevating one's status to the level of divinity, the divine level. So,
which we already are on.
We already are. We can say that, but yeah, being able to intrinsically and in very fine detail recognize how we are divine and how to refine the aspects of our divinity, to know the qualities of perfection, and to be able to work in that direction of perfection, which is the apotheosis path work. It's a perpetual working. As long as you are alive, you must continue to work in this direction. Otherwise, there are backslidings that will occur. You will have backslide. You will fall from the pride of proclaiming that you are God and that you are divine. As soon as you stand up and say, "I am God, I am divine," you already have to fall back. But
sorry, I didn't realize I was on mic. We were walking cats, and it gets chaotic when it's windy.
I think it's complicated. The proclamation that thou art our God, or seeing the world as divine or animist, to me, I think it's complicated. I see why you would say, and I think the ego that can be attached to it can pull someone away from that position could be there, and it often is. So yeah, I see that often happening, but I also think that people's disempowerment by the religious structures as they are so often in people's lives and their culture and their families and things keeps them so, from reaching that divine state. So I like what you're saying, that it is a continuous practice, but I would also say for some people, it is a practice that spontaneously comes. That's that sort of spontaneous awakening. But also for others, it's a continuous practice. And for some, they can't get away from it. And some people have a very hard time going into it for one reason or another. I think it's often culture, right?
Let me segue just briefly and acknowledge that Christy came on stage and probably with hopefully with an intention to add to the conversation, but I just wanted to do that acknowledgement.
Thank you, Rebel Elder. Well, I came on stage just to add to the conversation before we got into the discussion about yoga, which I cannot add anything to, so I will just be quiet. But
I'm also capable of going back. Yeah. There might be a thread there that might be helpful.
Yeah, we can do the weave.
Well, yoga is science too. So yoga in some traditions is just the word yoga just means science. So let's just we can.
It's union. Yeah, you're union.
Yeah,
union. Creative energy.
Get it on that union.
Well, I mean, it's not that I add anything at all to the yoga conversation, but I just mean that I came up because we were talking about science and about alternative healing and stuff like that.
Yoga, who's saying like I can tell you how pretty much everything connects to yoga. Anything you want to talk about, any topic, I can tell you it's part of yoga pretty much. So don't worry about it.
Well, anyway, I was actually coming up to talk a little bit about some alternative healing, and now honestly, I don't even remember now because it was a while ago. And
we were talking about using TENS unit, and we were talking about I want to know more about this. What was it? The ground? I don't know. The standing on the pad and transmitting energies, what was it? Like an electrical current through the body and touching the recipient. That sounds very.
Yeah, it's definitely electric. It's definitely electrical, and it's gonna be a DC. It's basically a Tesla device. Okay, now I'm saying this. I've not had this done to me. This thing does exist because Leah is a practitioner and she does all these trades with other people and goes to trade shows and things like that. So one of the people that she goes and trades massages with, he started using this device, and the one he uses, the brand is called Electrons Plus, which you can look up. And you can't buy one because you've got to be like a medical professional to even get them. But the concept, based on what I understand about it, it's going to be DC electricity for the people who are into like whatever edgy or interesting alternative science stuff. I'm more of like a technician in this department. And so understanding electricity enough, I could see how it would work. The practitioner would stand on a pad, and then the person that's getting the treatment would have the other pad under them or on them somehow. And then when the practitioner would touch them, it would complete the circuit. Now that's how the TENS device works for $20. It does that. But when you touch each other, it's like voltage flying between you. Like it's super intense, which is kind of fun. You can turn the thing way low and it's kind of tingly. But this thing, this Electrons Plus thing, when it does its thing, it actually acts as a massage. So it's somewhere between, it's like a shiatsu or a acupressure, but happening in an electrical way, but different than the TENS device, because you can get, it's really fun too. You can get the TENS devices that actually are like pins. It looks like it's like a big crayon, but it's electrical. And you could push it in your body in different spots, and that would actually. So that's for people who haven't played with one of those who like to do acupressure or acupuncture, or like that trigger point kind of massage, that kind of work. These are inexpensive, $100 devices that will do that stuff for you so easily. so easily. You do not have to go pay someone to do it for $200 per session.
I would like to find out more about the Electrons Plus thing because I have a friend who is a medical professional. She is a neurologist, and she's dealing with cancer. She's dealing with some lymphoma or leukemia. So this may actually help her. She'd probably be willing to get it with me or something like that. And where are you located, by the way, Patrick?
I thought we'd gone over this before. I'm in Tennessee near Chattanooga, out in the mountains.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But I spend New York is my city. Like, I almost never leave my mountain, cross my creek. I almost never do that unless I'm on my way to New York, actually.
No, that's not true. You go to festivals all over. That's not on your.
I used to. Well, no, now I only do a few festivals a year now.
Okay, well, a few a year is not never.
All right. Yeah, and I do go to do some shows and things. That is true. Yes, busted. I got out there a static dance sometimes. You know, I got friends. Yeah.
Oh, you do ecstatic dance. That's great.
But yeah, or dance church, either one. There's different forms. There's one Chattanooga, the city which is closest to me, which is kind of like my city. But I'm just saying, New York, as far as big cities is concerned, I spend a lot of time in New York because of family stuff, and so because you said you were in New York, so like so there's so much. I feel like I'm a New Yorker in that sense. It's the big city I'm the most like.
Hey Patrick, what form of ecstatic dance is it? Blindfolded or not?
No, it's not blindfolded. It's this is okay. So the generic form now, which has become this is because I've been doing this for since it started, I guess 25 years ago or something, at least in the East. In Asheville area, it's basic, and then it happens all over the country. There's somebody doing ecstatic dance in big cities. There's groups everywhere, and they sometimes call it dance church. But basically, there's the only rule is no talking on the dance floor, and it's consensual. And basically, you're just working out your own dance in relationship to the music or not. And then people will dance together. So this dance improv becomes a pretty big part of it, especially now because people like to touch each other. There's want to get close, but you can also to have a lot of contact without actually touching each other. So it's really helpful for people who need contact but don't want to be touched or don't want to touch. And so that's really another amazing thing about it. It's a little like square dancing or something with no call out. There's no rules. There's no way. So people will. Depending on the DJ or the person who's doing the music, or it's live sometimes, whatever, the music does at some point reach crescendos where people will be on the floor or in ecstatic states, shaking and seizuring and going through whatever you want to call it. I call them yoga seizures, but it's when you're actually like really going deep in. So the ecstatic part does come up sometimes depending on the music and the group. But they tend to be, I don't know, I think it's some of the coolest people that I met locally in different places when I've gone to different cities and been like, oh, I've never actually been to one in New York. I'll bet there's God, they must be epic there. Holy shit. There's a new group in Atlanta. I know some of the people at Clubhouse are Atlanta people called Soul. And it's really cool people put that together. It's a bit expensive. It's like $35 to go and dance for a few hours. But it's, they do it like actually one in Chattanooga also. They're both in old churches, which is what used to be churches. A really cool environment. That's why one of the reasons I call them dance church. Anyway, not to get into that, but there is something about things like dance connecting into the things we're talking about, involving sort of alternative therapy and stuff like that, and also socialization, trying to get out and actually be around people, and what that does to us. Because one of the reasons I don't go out as much is when I do go out now, I'll have my social experience, which usually is not just random. I don't just go to the mall. I'm going out usually to do something with a super lit group of people, like a festival, or ecstatic dance, or some kind of an event, a show, a local show that but when I come, it bucks with my head, I guess is what I'm saying. And so part of me kind of, I don't know, I think I'm in a hermit. I'm 58, so I think I'm in because someone brought up their Kundalini awakening, and I think it was Goddess, you said in 02, and I kind of wonder, like, as I've gone in and out of, again, I'm not going to call it Kundalini, but as I've gone in and out of different states of awakeness and thinking that I'm like losing my mind, for, a few years, and go in and out of feeling intelligent or not. And something for me in the last 4 years has been happening, which I'm going to call an awakening. And it's been settling over the last few weeks, which is not necessarily good. It's not necessarily a good thing, but I've been learning how to work with basically a new system. I feel like over the last 6 months, I could tell something started happening about 6 months ago, and I kept thinking like, "Whoa! I just got an upgrade, or something, or I just got doxxed by the gods." I don't know. Something was going on, and then it was like up, down, up, down, up, down. And as I'm relearning the system, there's a part of me that's like, the social part is the most complicated, right? Because I said a complicated love life, whatever. People are used to that, and I'm completely used to it. So I don't expect like harmony in any way from my love life, but that's not a very good indicator. But other factors involving the other people that I'm around a lot, my son, my parents, who I live in the same land with, my relationships with them, I've never had such good relationships with any of them. It's something that is really working. When I go out and I actually social, the way I connect with other people feels fantastic. Here on Clubhouse, it's good. It feels like I haven't lost my mind, but things have been working in some way that. Oh, part of it was about 6 months ago. Hello, Jordan. Oh my God. It was like 6 months ago where I was like, okay, I need to stop trying to write and publish a book. I need to just keep writing, keep putting things together. And it was actually, I think that may have been part of the transition, was moving away from my desk a little farther and getting back onto my farm and back in my other relationships. So maybe that was it. Just not writing as much in the same way, because that was messing with my head. And I loved it. That couple of years of writing changed me more than anything else ever has. Holy shit.
Well, I feel like I just went around.
What? What?
No, I wanted to just check in with Billy. I didn't know if he wanted to ask Christy a question, or I'm just checking with the.
No, I was just pointing out someone had mentioned square dancing, and I know that's Christy's favorite thing.
Sweet.
That's something that I love. I wouldn't say it's my favorite thing, but I do love it, and it's not at all like ecstatic dance. Having experienced ecstatic dance, it's extremely different. But square dancing does give you opportunities to connect and socialize and dance together, and you're constantly touching hands because that's part of the dance, and you use your hands in ways that so that you know where people are in the square and all that kind of thing, and actually the way that you touch hands, it's really interesting now that I've been doing it for I guess it's been at least 7 years that I've been doing it, and it's but it's really, really awesome, but it's not at all like ecstatic dance, because ecstatic dance is much more individual. It's like connecting, but also remaining very individual. At least that's my experience of ecstatic dance, but I have very little experience with ecstatic dance, but I have enough experience to tell you it's not at all like square dancing.
Well, it seems to me square dancing is about following orders, and ecstatic dancing is about just the opposite. One question I have about ecstatic dancing is, you mentioned blindfolded ecstatic dancing. That sounds very dangerous to me.
That's pretty rare. Some people will do it.
No, I trained with Wilbur Ilex, probably 20 years ago, and that was an important part of his development of ecstatic dance, and I forgot what his teacher was that had already passed away. And it's more of a shamanically individual. And oddly enough, I've facilitated a few and been to, a number of them. And people can get wild and crazy. And you have spotters around just in case, but I've never seen anybody collide, even with like upwards of 200 people. that they may get close, but there's some sort of internal sense, even if you're involved in sort of a journey, shamanic, individual, because when you take away the visual, to me, it's the same sort of experience of the removal of the visual focus in a sweat lodge, where it provides kind of a safety and an intimacy that you can evoke places that are very tender and very real, and that other people can almost feel the texture of what level you're talking. So I mean, it's a different model. I don't think there's one that's better than another. It's just different.
I really like this topic. This is so good because I actually teach a dance thing. But
let's just keep this open dialogue, and for folks who don't know, please interrupt me. It turns me on. I think that the blindfold part, so I've worked a lot with this, where it's like the option is like try closing your eyes while you're dancing. Ecstatic dance is a great place to do it because people move around a lot. People don't usually stay in the same spot, but they're watching each other most of the time. So if you're dancing with your eyes closed, though, suddenly you're not looking at other people, and whether you're attracted to them, which is kind of like the most very base option. And it's nice to be able to go out into the world and not just constantly rubberneck, right? And so being around a lot of beautiful people, you get used to that after a while, or I do. And once that's over, then I'm still kind of like, oh, they're doing these dance moves. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, they're looking at me. They're looking at me. And so to not have that layer of other people looking at me or me looking at other people, when I close my eyes, or the blindfold method sounds fantastic to me, and I would totally believe that it would be totally doable with minimal accents. And spotters, of course, are a good idea, kind of like a sitter with the high-dose experience. And so, yeah, spotters and blindfolds or just try closed eyes really, really changes the game. And it comes to, there's that quote, I'm sure someone can quote it. It's like dance like nobody's looking.
Exactly. It sounds like it would remove self-consciousness quite a bit.
I realized in ecstatic dance, which I did every week at least once for about 5 years before the pandemic, and really loved it and wished I'd found out about it, before I was 55. But I learned that when I took off my glasses and had less of a visual focus on the other people in the room, and especially the attractive women or thinking people looking at me, it was almost much better. And once upon a time, I had a true holy moment in ecstatic dance. And it was when it was about 3/4 of a mile, and I would take a little bit of mushrooms and ride my bike. And in the middle of this, all of a sudden there was this incredibly beautiful and incredibly pregnant woman. Looked like she was ready to give birth at any moment. And she had dark hair, and somehow in the middle of it all, we did some light contact improv, one round, and then later on, we did some more. And then at the end, when everyone sort of drops to the floor and does their integration, and sometimes a didgeridoo blows, and this was one of those moments, she kind of beckoned to me, and I sat down on the floor, and then she leaned backwards into me, and then she had me put my hands around her belly, and I could absolutely feel the life in her. And it was like this moment of being in absolute service. I later learned she was married to a very wealthy Arab guy, and that she wasn't here in town long, and she was just coming through. But in that moment, I was able to be completely in service and just kind of be that rest for her to lean back into me. And then when she invited me to feel her baby, it just blew up my everything. It was really an incredible moment.
What do you want today, Patrick?
Oh, by the way, Jordan and I met at a dance church.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
They have that in Santa Cruz too, I think.
They do. They have good ecstatic dance in Santa Cruz, down near the it's in downtown. It's not far from the river. But I found that after the pandemic, I haven't made my way back into the community, and it's no longer really close. And I don't know. I'm just making excuses because I did really, really like it. Because there's something about the way you move openly and randomly in ecstatic dance that is unlike all of the other things that I do. Even though I do a lot of physical things, dance filled a niche in terms of moving the hips and the energy and things in a way that nothing else did.
So it's not the cha-cha-cha?
What's not the cha-cha-cha?
So I have a question about other forms that I just am familiar with the form that I was taught. There was a strong element of at first forming a circle and talking about intentions and sort of an exchange of maybe the people who were new could ask those that were more experienced about it. And then I've forgotten what the rest of, it doesn't really matter, but it was very ritualized. And I think had an aspect of calling in, if you had the experience to call in ancestors, guides, whatever you want, angels, whatever metaphor or belief you have, to sort of begin to create and generate a morphogenetic field. I mean, is that part of ecstatic dance? I could ask Jordan or Patrick or Christy or Daniel.
I mean, those all sound pretty familiar with the way people set them up. I mean, usually the people that are organizing them have got kind of, I mean, I would say that's pretty standard in the format. Is that people will bring, it's kind of like, if it's more pagan, then people call in the directions, or it's it's more alchemist, people call in the elements, and so it kind of depends on the group, right? So the individual that maybe is, at the one in Chattanooga, one of the big ones periodically that's local now to me, it really just depends on which person or people, because there's usually one person who's doing consent, okay, because that's a big factor nowadays, and because the language of consent has become nuanced enough that people can explain it, and it's great because then it's the opportunity for people who maybe haven't been exposed to consent culture, what it's become, instead of hookup culture, right? And so instead of grabbing pussy, although I guess that's okay now, I don't know if it's, anyway, considering that people are going to continue to hold on to consent culture, maybe even more now that grabbing pussy is about to become okay again, not great again, just okay again.
Now, would that include grabbing dick too, just to make it?
I mean, I like to think of when people say pussy, I like to think they just mean genitals.
There we go. Okay. All right.
What used to be considered private, which is now becoming public property, apparently kind of cool in my opinion. I'm sexy. I always liked getting groped, and then but I was never one of those boys that would grab girls. I just could not do it. It was not okay for various reasons. I mean, I wanted to. I mean, or whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
Good to know.
I was a late bloomer with sex.
Although,
I didn't want to.
Misbehaving for me led me to my marriage. So there you go. Sometimes it's appropriate to change the relationship.
So almost kind of like jumping out of the system and allowing a behavior that almost surprises you?
Yes, moving from friends to lovers. That can be a big move, especially if you don't get permission ahead of time. But in my case, it turned out beautifully.
Well, I would think you had some sort of internal message that the driving or the yearning created the sort of ability to have her body speak, whether you be early test out.
Yeah, we were asleep. It was morning wood and, just...
Right, gotcha. So this thing about consent, is Patrick still here? Okay.
I got booted.
So how does that consent part of it work? Because I haven't been in this was 20 years ago, was I think the last ecstatic trance dance. Is it also to evoke trance, or at least allow it to happen And almost what you're describing is there any admonition to not, if you feel it, for lack of a better term, screw on the dance floor?
The current groups that I'm involved in, people are definitely getting freaking full on, like festival style, like twerk banging on the floor. I mean, people aren't taking the clay. It's not X-rated, but it's as sexy as it can be, if that's what the people want to go with it, and that's okay. Admittedly, this last that I went to a couple weeks ago, there were kids there that were under, I don't know, probably under 12 actually, probably like 8, there were maybe an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, something like that. And the full-on like hardcore, what I would call, I don't know, dirty dancing didn't start until they had left. And it happened as soon as they left. It was great. So there were like 60 or 70 people total, and like there was like the group that had been kind of doing the dance improv, really impressive shit, right? Like it's like acro yoga, but you're standing up. I mean, people, really cool, like modern dance kind of stuff. So there's some people that are doing that kind of work, right? So this is a modification of what dance church or ecstatic dance was to me. Was more like dancing with myself and getting into the vibe and the whole group holding the container, but it's very personal. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about, and which is I'm also more familiar with that. But this sort of new adaptation of it, which is integrated much more dance improv and acro yoga kind of work. What? It's so freaking cool to watch other people do it. So there is a part of me sometimes that's like I end up watching because I'm like, oh shit, it's not just they're hot, it's just like, holy shit, I can't believe they've got that much coordination, spinning up, and it's like breakdancing on top of someone's head. And it really is impressive. And then when that becomes sexual, whoa, that is freaking really like eye candy. And so that citrus surrogate, there's a little bit of a distraction there, but that also immediately allows me to do a quick check-in with myself, kind of like, where am I with my sexuality? And I was able to very easily, because I'm currently in a state where I'm like, I don't know, whatever, not needing the strange, because I'm getting plenty of the familiar, that type of strange was simply fun to be around, and didn't affect me very much. But I did notice that the people who were doing it did not do it until the kids, and when the sex part kicked in, it didn't happen until the kids left. I thought it was funny. And then he laughed at me. He made me, and I laughed about it too after he left. Because people don't talk on the dance floor. At all. No talking. You can eye gaze, and you can, touch as much as you want.
Every time there's been a big decision, the Russians have said, you better not do it. You better not do it, or else we're going to be doing something. And they've never done it. So the Ukrainians recognize that. The Biden administration apparently has recognized that. And they're taking these decisions now in spite of this latest version of these threats from the Russians.
Taking advantage of the moment, former ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor. Always good to see you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara.
Some writing that just makes it not clear, so that's what makes it confusing to me. There were 4 of us in the room, including the Rob, the young yeshiva scholar, grew up in extreme insulated ghettos with different Yiddish.
If you can eat sandwiches from daytime to nighttime, I would say do a parasitic test.
Yeah, I was told that too. I eat a lot. I had a thing, Sarah. I couldn't gain weight from the age of 16 to like 33, 34.
Very filled. It's very loaded. It's a loaded chakra. I'm in a loud place, so I don't want to use my mic too much here.
It's fully loaded chakra. I've got a loaded chakra. I'm not afraid.
That's the t-shirt version, right?
Yeah, I've got to make more t-shirts.
It's lock, stock, and loaded shop.
Actually,
remember-
I have such a diverse background. I have a background in also visual communication technology or graphic design, graphic communication technology. What they called it in the class section.
Oh shit! What do you think about the new illustrating robots? Do you hate AI art, or do you think?
I use it sometimes. It's very convenient when you're in a hurry and you want to conceptualize something if you're like having a creative block. That'll definitely help pick up the slack a bit, or it will even help you unblock creative blocks, like inspiring, you know. And I use AI to help me come up with ideas, like, or to help crystallize my ideas or push them even further. I'll use some ChatGPT sometimes because I have like a lot of really inspired ideas and visions. ChatGPT sometimes helps me to think of angles and perspectives I didn't have before, or pulls in even more resources. And so, that with the visual aspect, I think it's all right, you know. As long as people are not using AI to falsify that they've created something by hand, that's the only thing that infuriates me as an artist who's cultivated the ability to create fine art.
That's a beautiful answer. That's very generous, and because there's just a lot of people in the art community and in the computer community that are kind of like fighting about this stuff, and you know, ownership, plagiarism, of course, is the word that gets thrown around a lot. That, like, you know, that when it generates an image, that it's actually generating the image from all these other, you know, things that people did in the past. And there's just a part of me that doesn't really believe in ownership in some deep level. And part of that's because I own a mountain, and that doesn't make any sense to me at all. And actually, someone asked, what do I want to happen today? I want all of y'all to come and look at this thing that I've been working on and tell me that it's working, because I've been spending, well, in a way, decades, but in the last few weeks, kind of surprised, actually, to some people, because no one's seen it yet. I've been taking this cave dwelling that I've been building for decades to the next level, and now it's actually becoming like, it's basically like it's inside the cave now is more than just a few. It's this entire like suite of experiential spaces, and anyway, I want some of y'all to see what I've been doing. And I can't, when I'm inside there, there's definitely talk about being safe from the whatever people are afraid of with cell phones, and it's quiet. It's only got its own smell, and there's no sound except for sometimes those drips of water. And there's no light, and so I've been going back and forth between being in the dark and even doing things like shoveling, because I'm moving a lot of material. It's like the earth. I'm moving earth from one place to another. I'm not the actual cave. It's limestone. I'll wash it off sometimes because people used to go in this cave a lot over the last 8,000 years. It seems. And so I find different things that people have left, and also ways people altered it, and it's so interesting. Anyway, I just want to look forward to some of you, or all of you, coming and finding your way onto this project that I've spent my entire life gradually developing. And I don't know exactly why, but I do really believe that people in the future and now need quiet, safe, dark spaces with consistent, simple, lowering the senses down to like less sound, basic smell situations.
That's exactly what I'm writing a book on. Basically, is creating supportive environment, neurobiologically supportive environments that are low stim, and as womb-like, comforting, supportive, conductive of service to others types of behavior, speech as possible. So it started with the idea of designing what we saw, and then it's extending it to the idea of making that all human accessible spaces that we access in society in order to create these on it.
Well, the book, I'll call it a book, project that I'm working on involving psychedelics, one of the chapters is psychedelic safe places. And it's this whole idea around building out parks, buildings, and things like that. So like turning them into temples, but it's basically having like almost like a verification, like this park is safe to be nude in. It's like a nudist beach, but it's like a psychedelically safe space that people that would go there would know, and people would go there because they wanted to sit for people. People would go there because they wanted to trip. And like museums are kind of a classic place. Like, so I spend a lot of time museum tripping. And so often in museums, the guards are actually kind of used to, especially on whatever free nights and, certain days the museums are going to have like more people that are actually there tripping. And you'll meet people who are tripping, which is really fun at museums. So a lot of this, and there's a park, someone knows the name of it, in Amsterdam. That's where people go to trip. And of course that's Sex in the Bushes too. But anyway, that park was also part of my inspiration for creating this very important part of psychedelic work, I think, is having safe places.
Patrick, let me ask you a little bit more in a kind of granular way what that might look like. But before I do that, I want to say, when you're talking about cave experience, is it safe to say that you're suggesting to lower the outside signal so that maybe and raise the internal signal and see about the interaction in particular aspects of the cave that you've sat with that sort of told you what the power of the lack of a better term portal wants to happen, something like that?
Yeah, that's close enough. The portal element of this area, for some reason, seems to be becoming a sort of a hidden portal, not on the traditional ley line circuits. When we look at, I'm looking at this evidence of things that are happening. And same, right above my cave. It's crazy. And so things like that and other, I can't really say specifics, but things that end up happening create the structure. But then, so I feel like to forget about all that, right? It's just ego-based, right? Or I can just build up ideas like, oh, I built the pyramids. And so to answer your question, when I'm in there, I'm actually spending a lot of time creating something that's actually for other people to do work in, not necessarily for myself. But then when I go there to do the work, and which is kind of so it's the product. For me, it's a different type of relationship. It's the same with being an artist. I'll never know my art. When people come to a show and they see what my art, especially if they've never seen it before, they get to see all of it at the same time, not 30-something years of me developing this thing. Does that make sense? And so I'll never get to see that. And so that's why this cave thing, I need more people to come and to sit there, or at least to come and explore it with me, because it's fun to climb through. It's like a jungle gym underground. And I'm taking, so this is interesting because it's limestone, some limestone caves, it's a limestone floor. The floor of this is actually an old ancient creek bed that used to run it was an underground river. And so I work a lot with rock on my land and with the creeks and the water systems and things. So I'm kind of working with, and so some of it's prehistoric. You can tell the rock's been there for tens of thousands of years. And other areas, the rock, water still flows through there sometimes. And in other areas, you can tell that there's deposits of soil and other materials that have been there for thousands of years. And that's where things show up there that are very ancient or bones from particularly possums, which are very old. They've been around, very similar. Possums haven't changed a lot in the last 5 million years or something. So some of the bones that I find in there, the local at the university, that I always give them to them to check out. And so they're prehistoric possums, pre-Ice Age, or during before humans came to North America, probably. It's neat that they've been there that long. Anyway, too many details. I didn't really answer your question. The reason I was asking the group, though, is because I'm finally, I keep very recently, in the last few weeks, I've committed to doing these builds in there. Because again, typically I'm like, in nature is perfect as it is. But don't touch anything, don't change anything, you'll fuck it up, right? That comes right up. That's Lao Tzu. Do not touch the Tao is it. It's just the emptiness, this basicness, the leaf falling perfectly. Do not mess with nature ever. And so that's the part of me that's like so deeply Taoist. And again, I'm not anything, but Lao Tzu and the Tao Te Ching are the only text that I've read more than 100 times.
Can you stop there for just a minute so I can ask you about that? What about if you ask permission of that particular space and time to be there, or if something is there that sort of calls out to be with you? Does that fit in with the Taoist? I mean, is there ability to kind of morph that with a certain respect?
Okay, yes, and that's why I align myself more as a Taoist than I do a Native American, and that's actually where I actually have some conflicts, and will probably end up having conflicts in some indigenous thought systems, and that's where I got super triggered. I don't know if anyone else was there, but when Wendy said, when the book project or whatever she's working on, that's one of the editor helpers that's helping her, the Native American angle, was saying that they weren't going to use the word use or the word take, and that just really bugs me. And it's actually bugged me for days. And so when I've been in this space, which is natural and formed, and yet it's the rocks move around because the water moves them, and the soil moves around in some places and has it. And when did it move it last? In the last 10,000 years, I don't know. In some cases, I've watched it because I go in and it's changed. And so at what point can I move things and not? So it's taken me, I'm 58, I've lived here since I was 5 years old. So over 50 years, I have been observing, and I've waited decades to do certain things. And some things I suddenly will sometimes not think decades of the same idea. It'll just come to me, and I want to think now that I'm now connected to this place in a way that is so indigenous. I mean, I'm so much. I can't say that. My connection to this place feels indigenous enough, and yet my arrogance to be like making. And I made tons of mistakes involving things that I've done here, and been like, oh my God, I can't believe I cut that tree down. But mostly it's more like, oh, I wish I'd cut that tree down. Actually, a lot of other times where I'm like, oh yeah, that tree ended up being very hard to manage later, because like all the ash trees, we have all these different tree blights. Thank you, modern world. So the ecology here, my impact on the ecology, I feel like has been, even my disruption has actually created more diversity. When I look at different path systems or clearings and spaces that I've created, I see more diversity coming in because of my disruptions. And used to, I was afraid to move a rock. I was like, okay, everything that I do is somehow out of the order of nature. And I feel like it has taken me decades. And that is one of the permaculture principles, is to observe first. And at least a year is what they suggest in permaculture. Do not build a house or decide where you're going to put your pond or your house or your garden before you've lived on the land for at least a year and observed its patterns. I would say give it 5 years before you make really big decisions, unless it's really super obvious. Because you may build your house where you want to put your pond. Does that make sense? And I saw the mistakes that my grandparents and my parents and me and my community people that have lived here. We all did these different things that were mistakes. We also did all these other things that were freaking cool as shit that worked. And this cave is a place that has been more untouched. Like, I would be really uncomfortable if someone else was doing what I'm doing. And now that I'm doing it a little more, taking it to this next level, and even in my head thinking about these very legitimate concerns,
Okay, welcome to meditation and theory and practice.